And I have people that well, good morning. Good morning. Oh, good morning to Alex and Christine from Canada. And who else do we have? Jamie. Good morning to Jamie. And Suzanne. Good morning to Suzanne as well. Good to have all of you here on a Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday, right? I think it is. And I've got a special machine that I want to be able to show you today. And also a special guest as well. It's a local friend of mine, Carol, a retired nurse, and she brought a machine to me some time ago. And initially, we were kind of at a standstill because as some of you know, with these treadle type machines, you haven't even seen the machine yet, unless you go to Facebook, maybe. But they have a crucial piece that is required to operate the machine. It's called the vibrating shuttle. And when Carol brought the machine to the workshop, the vibrating shuttle was missing. And then she later found it. You know what? I won't even tell you. I'll let her tell you where she found it. It was kind of funny. And but then I discovered, as I was trying to operate this shuttle in the machine, it had been dented because of where it had been dropped. And when the barbell bobbin was trying to spin in it, and a barbell bobbin, if you're not familiar with them, they look something like this. Actually, yeah, I'll just pull one out. So as the barbell bobbin, that's kind of what they look like right there, was trying to spin in this shuttle, it was getting caught on that edge that was crimped down a little bit from getting crushed. So I had to go on the hunt through all of my stuff, and I was able to find another vibrating shuttle that worked beautifully in Carol's machine. And it originally, not this shuttle, but the one that I put in her machine, came from a white treadle machine from the late 1920s. So you can see where there's common ground between a lot of the manufacturers, especially when you've got a manufacturer like the National Sewing Machine Company that would have made this machine, where they're doing private branding for a lot of sewing machines, different makers. They're making machines for Montgomery Ward. They're making machines for Sears and about 150 other companies that did not want to build a production location. So they went to the National Sewing Machine Company and they said, here's our idea. Here's what we want to call it. Can you build it for us? And they did. They built a lot of machines. I think one time we looked it up and it was over 150 different private brand names that the National Sewing Machine Company made for different customers of theirs. And it's happening today as well, isn't it? You'll go to the grocery store or to a Walmart or something like that, and you can look at 10 different items with different names, but they're all made by the same company. They're just private branded. So it's something that's been going on for forever. And it happened within the sewing machine space as well. Let me look at the live chat real quick and just welcome some folks. And then I want to introduce you to our special guest today. And she can tell a little bit about the story behind this machine, the impact for her family, etc. And we'll kind of go from there. And remind me, we need to do that drawing today for those Guggenheim professional tailoring scissors. As I read all of the cow country references or writing recommendations that were posted on Google. And then we'll pick that winner and we'll send those off. We already gave one pair of them away to Madeline down in Naples, Florida. And now we're going to give away another one today, hopefully. Let's see. These are the scissors, Carol. I'll just show them to you. All right, a couple more good mornings. Good mornings, good mornings. And let me know how our audio is. I've got the microphone moved, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. Let's see here. So good morning again to Christine from Canada. And for those of you that tried to jump on initially, I have no idea what happened, but I went to start the live stream and it just said, no. And so I had to go back and do it a second time real quick. And so thanks for persevering. If you joined the first one and you go, boy, that was really quick. Scott's live streams last for hours, and that was like 20 seconds. So good morning to Christine from Canada. Good morning to Janie. I think I said Jamie, but it's Janie. I don't recognize the name Janie. So if you want to share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, that would be great. Good morning again to Alcos, also known as Alex. And Alex, by the way, I got your package. I got your package in the mail from FedEx, and I'm going to try to open it on the live stream today to see what you sent me. It's from Wawak Sewing. That's just a fun name to say. I feel like you should have a mouthful of Ritz crackers when you say Wawak and just see what happens, you know? And anyone wants to try that and shoot a little video, I'll post it on Facebook. So Wawak Sewing from my good friend Alex, and it looks like it came from out in Nevada. So again, we'll open this up on the live stream to see what Alex sent. And then also, let me finish my good mornings. Good morning to Suzanne Coulter. Good morning to Emma. Good morning to Aaron Allen from Vermont. Who else do we have? Oh, good morning to Candido as well from New York. And Candido, I also got your package. I got your package as well. I wasn't expecting anything. What did you send me? No, don't tell me. I want it to be a surprise. But Candido sent me something from New York too. So it's like Christmas in the workshop. I'm getting all kinds of goodies from people around the country. And now we need to find out what they are, because I love getting goodies. All right. Also, good morning to, oh, okay. And Janie just shared, she's from Texas. Janie is from Sheridan, Texas. Great to have you here, Janie. Also, good morning to Susie from Minnesota. Susie, you're always the very first one, and you were today as well. But then I had that glitch when I tried to do the first live stream, and I had to shut it down. And then Christine from Canada beat you as the first one in on the second live stream when I reinitiated it. So you got to be quicker, kiddo. You got to be quicker on that second rebound. Oh, goodness. And I think I've said hello to everybody at this point. So without further ado, you can already see my friend Carol in the shot. So Carol, would you be so kind? Talk a little bit about this Montgomery Ward, how it ties into your family and that sort of thing. And I'm going to move the mic over just a little bit closer so we can hopefully hear you nice and clear.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I've known Scott for quite a while now, and he is the maestro machine tender, I guess you could call him. I never known anybody who would get so excited about a poor old beat up sewing machine. It's a good thing you folks cannot see the cabinet, because the cabinet is what is the
it's tattered a little.
Yeah, politely. politely so it's tattered.
Yeah, I'll reach in front of Carol and just show you. These are some of the parts that fell off of this cabinet when we took it from her vehicle for the second time. And I'm saying second time. These are some of the other parts right here. These are not off of the sewing machine. These are off of the cabinet. Because when Carol brought it initially, we unloaded it. We got it into the overflow area, and I wasn't originally planning on carrying it down to the workshop. And I thought I've got to do that. So, but at any rate, Carol brings it in, and I noticed that the vibrating shuttle is missing. And I explained how integral that is. It's kind of like it's like a fingerprint to that machine, and it's almost always impossible to find a suitable replacement. So eventually, she circled back with one of her friends. They picked up the cabinet and the machine, and they took it back to their place. And then I'll let her share where she found where did she find this? It's an interesting story. Oh and then she ended up bringing it back a second time, and that's when I finished the restore on it. Anyway, I'll shut up and let Carol talk now.
It was just amazing. My son is 50 years old this year. He helped me get the machine out of the house into the back of the car, and in doing so, we had to tip it on its side. And I heard stuff rumbling through there, and I thought, well, that's okay. It's not going to go anywhere. But when we got it here, and then Scott started looking at it, my God, there is no shuttle.
Shuttle, yeah.
So I'm tearing through the house. I'm looking through every little bits and corner. Couldn't find it. Looked in my jewelry boxes. Looked here, looked there. And anyone who's ever misplaced something and you think you know where you're going to find it, wasn't in the house at all. So I called Scott. Said, God forbid we can't find it. What should we do? So we come over, loaded it back up. My grandson is 10. He helped me get it back into the house. And a few days after that, he's out in the front of the house. And thankfully, I didn't, this is late winter in the springtime in Wisconsin. So thank God I wasn't mowing lawn. Joseph goes walking through, the 10-year-old, and he bends over and he picks this up and he goes, "Oh, Grandma, here's your thing that you were looking for that machine." And my jaw dropped, and he said, "Honestly, where'd you find it?" He said, "Outside in the grass in front of the porch." Well, you don't know how happy you've made us. So got back in touch with Scott, told him what the big miracle was, and he said, "Oh my gosh, bring it in." And so we loaded her up again. Joseph and I threw poor Beatrice in the back of the car, and off to O'Connell we come. And long story short, he fixed her up.
Yeah. And this, you're going to see Beatrice. That's what Carol calls this machine, because her mom's name is Beatrice. And maybe, Carol, you can just share a little bit about how has this machine been used in your family? How long has it been in your family? Talk a little bit maybe about the family history behind this machine. And while Carol's talking, you'll be able to hear her, but I'm going to show you this machine. And probably later today, tomorrow, I'll post all the pictures. I think I have about 200 pictures that I took of the process that I took Beatrice through. And you're going to see a stark difference in what you see today versus what you'll see in those photos of how she arrived. Very, very troubled machine. And now she's quite a beauty.
I didn't realize it was so gorgeous, because all the time I knew it. I'm 70 years old. My mom had this in the house. She always called it the dressmaker's machine, because it did such a fine stitching. And she also had an old regular Singer sewing machine with the machine fixed on top. But she always treasured this. We have no idea how it came into the family. She would sew for her aunt and uncle. my mom and dad, my brothers and sisters, and at least 3 of the grandchildren for mending or sewing, but it was always done specially. This was always the go-to machine for if it had to look just so. And I am terrible at sewing, but I always loved this thing. My history with it was Mom said, "You want it? I'd rather you take it than somebody else have it." So when your mom speaks to you in that tone of voice, you know you're just taking it home. And at one time, if there's anybody as old as I or older, God forbid, that understands that when you used to buy laundry detergent in the big boxes, the powdered laundry detergent that had the box with the towel in. And I remember one time I was married, money was short. I took all those hand towels and I stitched them together and made a quilt for one of the boys' bed. And when my mom found that out, I don't think she was very happy because, you're making a quilt out of towels and my perfectly good machine. My mom passed away in 2004.
Oh, wow.
And
19 years ago.
19 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had this at home. One of my sisters was kind of, well, I wonder whatever happened to Mom's machine. I said, I took it home. No, not that one, the other one. So I'm like, okay, fine, fair enough. So if any of you know any background about this, or if you've got experience or stories to tell about this, please let Scott know. Because I don't know, to me, this is part of history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just as important an object as anything from our past.
Mm-hmm.
And when she sewed for many generations, it still just boggles my mind that she had the patience to sit and run the treadle.
There is a special, for any of you that have treadle machines, I tip my hat to you because there's a special skill, there's a special rhythm, there's a special intuition you have to develop when you are operating a treadle machine. And all of you know, I don't even have to say it twice, all of you know Bill O'Rourke. Bill has been working with me for many, many, many years. And he's from Kissimmee, Florida. And he operates a 66-1 as a treadle machine. That's his go-to machine. That's all he uses. And as I was working on Carol's machine that belonged to her mom, Beatrice, and again, that's why this beautiful machine is called Beatrice. I just don't have the patience or the talent to be a good treadle operator. I can muddle through it. I can get her going a little bit. But as I showed you on that reel that I posted on Facebook, when I was getting to the final steps of getting this machine ready for Carol, I would start treadling and she would be rolling. I had a piece of material and the material was just feeding beautifully. And then all of a sudden I would lose my train of thought and my foot would do something crazy. And then I'd be sewing backwards and, forward, backwards, forward, backwards. So during this live stream today, I'm going to demonstrate the machine with the clutch disengaged to just let you see this machine run. And I'll engage the bobbin winder as well. You can see the beauty of this pendulum style bobbin winder that I wound this long bobbin on. But I'm not going to be operating the machine during this live stream as a treadle because all of my sew offs, as you know, are short little bursts. It's like 5 inches. And you just can't get any rhythm or rhyme to a treadle machine. I can't anyway, in that short little span. So rather than embarrass myself, I'm going to tip my hat and bow to all of you that are masters at operating treadle machines and just say that, you know, I'll be hand turning Carol's machine today to go through the various sew offs that we're going to do. But she was utterly amazed. These are the sew offs that I did off camera, and everything from denim to multiple layers of commercial grade canvas. This stuff's even heavier than the US Army grade canvas that you've seen me sew on this channel before. And then I also did saddle grade leather, 100% cotton, Italian leather. I might have cut some Italian leather. And how many layers of Italian leather did I hand turn with Carol's Beatrice, this Montgomery Ward? 3 layers of this Italian leather. I mean, that's a major sew off, Protected full grain leather. It doesn't like this as much, and I'll explain the needle situation on this machine, and then you'll understand why certain leathers, they don't interact and play as well with Beatrice as other leathers. And then finally, I did 2 layers of saddle grade leather as well, probably about 6 to 8 ounces of leather, and laid down some beautiful stitching. So what I'm going to do now, because Carol was so gracious in taking time to be with us today, I'm going to try to bring the camera around and get a shot of Beatrice, and then I'll point out some other things on this machine, talk about the history of Montgomery Ward, and then also we'll do some sewing on Beatrice as well. So let me see if I can make a path here and get the camera carefully around Beatrice. And then we will see what this old girl can do. There we go. I think I got it almost. I'm going to get my clips over there. I'll bring this over here because I want to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to talk about these. Actually, I want to talk about all of this. I'm going to talk about all this. Okay. So what I want to start with, first of all, is if you come across one of these machines, it's like a unicorn. You're not going to see a Montgomery Ward machine like this, a treadle machine like this very often. They're very, very hard to come by. Very, very hard to come by. And but if you come across one, some of the nuances of this machine are important to know so that you can have success in trying to set it up to sew. The first thing I'll start with is the needle that was in Carol's mom's machine. You could tell that this machine had been used a lot. The needle was very, very worn. And so I knew that I wouldn't be able to do a live stream with that needle and have any real success. So I started going on a hunt for trying to find an appropriate needle. And you might say, well, what's the big deal? Can't you just grab a needle and put a needle in the machine? The answer is no, because as you're looking at these 2 needles that I'm holding, hopefully you'll be able to see it. I'll kind of cup it in my hand. As you're looking at these 2 needles, look near the bottom there, and you can see the length difference between the 2 needles. The one on the left is a standard Schmitz 9014 needle. It's my go-to needle. I use it in every machine, from Swedish machines to Kenmore to Husqvarna's, you name it. I use my needle in that machine by Schmitz. It's about 3 to 4 millimeters too short. And I'll actually give you a measurement so you know what the measurement is. But Carol's mom's machine takes this super long needle, and a standard needle will not work in it. Hopefully you can see that in the camera shot. I hope you can. The length difference between those 2 needles. So what I eventually discovered is there was a light industrial machine. See if I can show these side by side. So now I put down my standard Schmitz needle. It's off to the side there. And I'll show you these 2 needles. The one on the right is Carol's mom's needle, the original. The one on the left is my replacement needle, and I'll show you exactly what you need. So I'm going to pinch those together, and they are only about, if you look at them real close, they are so close in length, maybe 1/4 of a millimeter difference. And it's not enough to throw the hook timing off. So the original needle, again, on the right, that belonged to, that was in Carol's mom's machine when it came to the workshop, and the one on the left, they're so close in length that they're compatible. Plus the location of the scarf on the needle. Remember, the scarf is that indentation on the needle near the bottom above the eye of the needle. It looks like it's basically cut into the needle. And the purpose of the scarf, again, on a machine like this, as that vibrating shuttle is going back and forth, I'll kind of demonstrate it like this a little bit. As that vibrating shuttle with its very sharp point is moving back and forth in the sewing process from front to back, it moves very, very close to that needle. And the point of this actually just clears that scarf area to grab that thread to complete the stitch. And so the location of the scarf is critical, because otherwise, when this moves in that fixed position, when it moves back and forth like this, it's going to miss the thread and you're going to have skip stitches. But when I examined these two needles, Carol's mom's original needle and my replacement needle, the position of the scarf was close enough. I was confident that it would work with the machine. And so that was my solution to come up with a nice sharp needle to do the live stream today. Also, as I explained, this was Carol's original vibrating shuttle that was damaged when it was dropped on the ground or sometime before. I also found a vibrating shuttle as well that would be suitable for this machine, that would work. But the needle, let me give you the needle that you need if you want to have a solution moving forward. If you find one similar to this, of course it's by Schmitz. It's called a Schmitz 37. You know what? I'm just going to show it to you. And I just heard a text come in, so I'll go check that. It might be somebody asking a question. This is the needle that you need for a vibrating shuttle Montgomery Ward machine, or a similar machine like this from the late 1920s. And again, if you look at the length of these, our dear friend Sunny, that just passed away from cancer, she would call these harpoon needles. If you're by the ocean, you could probably hunt fish with these things. They're just huge. And again, if you look at these in the package and compare it to a standard needle, it's going to be a little bit hard to see this, but I'll put it on the side. There's the standard needle on the far left. There's my camera angle. There it is. So on the far left, look at that needle, and you can see the length difference between these needles very easily, can't you? Why is the length of the needle important? Does anyone want to type in the live chat why the length of the needle and the position of the scarf is so critical when it comes to a sewing machine? If anyone wants to try to answer that, and then I'll go ahead and look at the I'll look at the chat to see if we have a question that I need to answer. And Susie from Minnesota, one of my leadership team members, just sent me a quick text, and she said, 2 new folks in the chat today, Janie from Sheridan, Texas, and Carlo Quinn from South Texas. So welcome to our Texans. Always great to have folks from Texas join us. Most of you know I've got a lot of customers in Texas. As far south as Del Rio, Texas, and as far north as Houston, or whatever other places are to the north of the state. I'm not going to claim to be a geographical expert on Texas, But I love my Texas people. They're wholesome. They're down to earth. They embrace a lot of the traditions that have been abandoned by a lot of other folks around the country and around the world. They're almost beautifully stuck in time, where their values and their outlook on life is I won't say a simple outlook, but it's simplified outlook where they focus on what really counts. And the other thing I love about my Texans as well is they get it done. I think I was down in Mesquite, Texas, when I was working in healthcare at the time. And that's where, for the first time, you can tell I don't get out much. That's where, for the first time, I heard the phrase "get her done," which I didn't realize was part of a cable guy or something like that. Apparently made that line famous. But I think he copied the Texans, to be honest with you. But it's great to have our two Texans with us today. And I hope you enjoy yourselves. I hope you learn something new. I hope you have fun. And hopefully you make some new friendships as well as you're spending time with us during this live stream today to get better acquainted with Beatrice and just appreciate how special she is. All right. So I think just double checking, looking across at the chat. I don't see anything else that I need to respond to. Like I always say, I've got my little friends here. You'll see them in the Facebook shots. The doctor and the Mrs. Doctor. And you can't see the doctor do it because he's really quick, but he's giving a quick salute to the leaders that are in the live stream and saying, "You're in charge now. You guys take over. I'm going to focus on the machine and enjoy my time with Carol." And so the leadership team can take charge of the live chat now, make everybody feel welcome, and we'll get a little bit better acquainted with this machine. Oh, wait a second. I was going to get you a measurement, and I totally forgot to do that. I showed you what needle to use. The original needle, I'll give you a measurement on the original needle. Just want to make sure, yeah, that's the correct one. The original needle that was in this machine that Beatrice was using is, I'll get you a measurement with this caliper here. Looking at 45 millimeters. So the original needle is 45 millimeters. And then the replacement that I showed you by Schmitz is going to be it's like 44 3/4. So, I mean, it's so doggone close. It's so doggone close. And again, if you join the live stream a little bit late, there are no real clear aftermarkets. If you Google saying, "I want needles for a vintage Montgomery Ward TREADLE vibrating shuttle machine," you're not really going to find anything. But this is the needle that you want right here. This needle will work very nicely with this machine. And you can, you might be saying, "Well, where do you order these?" You can order them anywhere. You can order them on eBay. You can order them on Etsy. You can order them on Pinterest. You can order them probably from somebody's, probably from the trunk of somebody's car in Chicago. You never know, right? But yeah, they're readily available. And I'll make sure that a number of these go home with Carol so that if she puts this machine to use quite a bit, she'll be able to swap out that needle. And when you put this needle in, this particular one by Schmitz, it does not have a flat side. The original needle that was in Carol's machine that belonged to her mom, Beatrice, has a flat side, and the flat side is going to go to the right because the flat side is going to have that scarf. And as that vibrating shuttle again is moving back and forth, it needs to catch that thread adjacent to the scarf. So the scarf has to be pointing to the left, which is the same side that the flat side is on. If you didn't know that, on every needle that I've ever known, the flat side and the scarf are always, always, always on the same side. And then on the opposite side of the scarf is going to be the long groove on the needle itself. So that's a good way just to remember that. The scarf is always going to face the hook because the hook has to grab that thread as that thread is being grabbed either by the hook or by the vibrating shuttle. I hope I'm explaining that clearly. Just think of it as they need to be close enough together so that the sewing process will work. Okay, so I've given you measurements. I've talked about the vibrating shuttles, talked about the needle replacement. The other thing I'll tell you real quick is, just like vibrating shuttles are very, very unique to the machine, some will work, some will not. The same thing is true of the barbell bobbin or the long bobbin. And again, the long bobbin, here, I'll show you one that doesn't have any thread on it. Maybe, yeah, this will work. Show you one that doesn't have any thread on it. You can kind of see this. And the one I'm going to show you is actually for a Singer Model 27, also from the 1920s. So you can see this is an example of one of the long bobbins, or they're called a barbell bobbin because they kind of look like a barbell, don't they? These are all going to have differences to them. Some of them will have like a little point on the end that is designed to meet up with a hole that's on the inside of the vibrating shuttle. So when you slide it in, it's going to have an anchor point it basically slides into, so it spins evenly and true in the sewing process. Some are going to be a little bit longer. Some are going to have a flat end to them. Some of them are going to be beveled. So you really have to be careful the type of, you might have the perfect vibrating shuttle, but if you match it up with the wrong barbell bobbin, the long bobbin, you're going to have problems with the sewing process. So just be aware of that. Get your measurements down. Make sure that you're fitting it well. When it fits into the vibrating shuttle, it should be below the surface, kind of like you're seeing it right there. I think you can see that. You don't want it sticking up too far because it's going to be riding in that cradle, going back and forth. And if it's in that cradle and this is sticking out, it's going to cause this to pitch and pivot a little bit as it's going back and forth quickly. Not so quickly today because I'm going to be hand turning it. But you just have to make sure it's not sticking out too long. Again, they're all different lengths and they're all going to interact differently with that vibrating shuttle. So just be real careful. And if I can be of help, reach out by all means. But sometimes it's just a matter of sitting down to it and figuring it out. So, and then trying to sew with it and see how it reacts. Okay, I think that's enough of that. Let me move these to the side. I don't want to inundate you with information, but I want you to have the information. I think that'll be helpful to you. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to amaze you. Not really. I'm going to get this rotating again, not with the main shaft engaged, because I am not a treadle guy. I'm just not. I tip my hat to Bill and others that can do this. And just give you an idea of how smoothly this machine is running now. Just what a beauty she is. Let me see if I can get the right angle. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. So again, this is going to have, if you didn't see it when I brought the camera over, this is going to have a clutch on it, just like any of the other machines that we're used to seeing. And when you rotate this all the way to the front, that clutch is going to be disengaged, which means only the balance wheel should move. And that's when you're winding a bobbin. And when you rotate this to the back, all the way like this, and lock it in place, then you're going to engage that main shaft so that you can do sewing. But when it's disengaged, like it is right now, I should be able to operate this, not impressively, but a little bit. Wait a second, get the right footing here. And the little squeaking you're hearing is down on the treadle pedal down here that I'm rocking. That also has to be lubricated, and I did lubricate it a couple of times, but depending on how I'm pushing on it, it'll sometimes get a little bit of a squeak to it. That's not the machine.
It's age.
Now,
you can't shred it.
Now see, if I want to engage that bobbin winder, I just push it into the leather lead. And now you can see that that's going back and forth. If that long bobbin were in between here, see that's got a spring right there? You put that long bobbin in there, it would be distributing that thread evenly on that long bobbin, on that barbell bobbin, so that you get a nice, even thread distribution on that barbell bobbin so that you can have the thread feeding really, really well from that vibrating shuttle. I'll go ahead and lubricate that, that rocker down there again. So you get the idea. Someone that has the time, and I obviously don't have the time to do a lot of it because right now you can see I'm getting ready for a live stream tomorrow to present this Husqvarna Viking Designer 1. I'll be presenting that machine tomorrow. And then the next machine coming up is this featherweight right over here. And then there's a number of other ones. I'm also getting ready to finally pack Maxwell's FOF 230 that's going back to Denver, Colorado. So with the busyness of the workshop, I unfortunately don't have the time to become a master treadle operator, but I didn't do too badly right there, just demonstrating you know, how you operate that wonderful treadle down there to engage that process, blah, blah, blah. All right, so a quick walk around this machine real quick, and then we're going to actually put it to work and see if we can get some stitches out of it. The first thing I'll tell you, I better remember to engage that again, rotate that all the way back, lock it in place. So now that's locked in place, and now if I touch that balance wheel, you see our take-up arm starting to move. So a quick walk around this machine. This again is going to be our bobbin winding assembly right here. We'll take one of those long bobbins and we'll put it between here. This has a spring on it. So you just pull this out. You get that seated in there properly, release that spring so that it holds that long bobbin in place between here. And then you disengage the clutch that we just re-engaged right over here. And then you rotate this in to that treadle belt. And this is the original. I decided to leave the original treadle belt on there, but I got a replacement for Carol so that she's got a brand new one, and I'll come by her house if this one ever breaks, and we'll put this brand new one on, or we can put it on anytime for that matter. And that way she'll have a backup belt as well if she needs it. But as soon as you engage that bobbin winder, then you're ready to start winding the bobbin. And I'll just show you real quick again. If we're winding a bobbin, see that I almost got the rhythm, but not quite. It's like riding a bike, but I probably would fall off with a bike. You know what I mean? So if we're winding a bobbin, we're going to come off the top with a thread right here. We're going to thread it just like you see it right here underneath this little thread guide and then over this tensioner right there. You see that little tensioner right there, hopefully. Then we come straight down. And again, make sure that your presser foot lever on the back, this little lever back here, is in the up position so that there's no pressure on the tension discs. And then you draw that thread around the bottom through those discs and then right next to this check or take up spring. See that right there? This little spring that goes up and down in the sewing process. It goes right over there. Then we thread the take up arm right here from left to right. We come down through this thread guide on this now very, very shiny faceplate. Put on your sunglasses. And then we come down through the side of the faceplate down to the needle. And then we're going to thread the needle from left to right. And there is one more thread guide, I believe. Let me just double check. Yep, there is one more thread guide just down here that we need to bring the thread behind, just adjacent to, I'll kind of point at it with my clippers. There's another thread guide right there that you have to bring the thread through. And then you'll thread the needle from left to right, from left to right. So the threading is not too bad on this machine really at all. The only difference if you're winding a bobbin is you'll get to this point right here off the top. You get to this point, and then all of a sudden you're going to go across the machine like this. Right down here, there's a little groove on the bottom that you need to bring the thread through. and then bring it straight up right between the goal posts right there, and then wrap it around that long bobbin several times. And then again, as this is operating, just make sure my clutch is disengaged. As this is operating, you'll see that that is going to be moving back and forth so that that thread is being distributed evenly across that that long bobbin. So you get nice, really nice feed when you're sewing in the process. Okay, here's our stitch length. I'll rotate this out of the way so you can see it a little bit easier. This Montgomery Ward from the late 1920s is not going to sew as large of a stitch as some of our contemporary counterparts, some of our vintage machines that might be from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, etc. The largest you're going to get is about 8 stitches per inch on this machine, and you do that by bringing this, you loosen this this screw, and then you bring this all the way to the top like I have it right now to get the longest stitch possible. So 8 stitches per inch all the way down to about 20 stitches per inch. So the Montgomery Ward treadle machine that you're seeing right now, it's not going to give you, you know, most of our machines will give us like 6 stitches per inch. This is going to be 8 stitches per inch. And then a lot of our vintage machines will give us 30 stitches per inch. And those teeny tiny little ones that you need a magnifying glass for, this machine will get us to about 20 stitches per inch. So it's a little bit different, but you know what? When you get to 20 stitches per inch, I don't know that you want to go any smaller than that, to be honest with you. I think that that's about as small as anyone wants to go. So with that, I mean, I pretty much have covered the lay of the land on this machine. The only other thing that I could show you is up here next to the needle bar shaft here. And this is a lubrication point. See the little hole on top? The little hole on top, you do drop oil in there to keep that needle bar nice and smooth and slick so that that needle moves up and down very freely. And then over here, we've got our presser foot control. As we turn this clockwise, it's going to create more pressure down so that we get better feed with heavier materials. As we turn it counterclockwise to the left, this one right here, it's going to lighten up that presser foot pressure so we can sew more delicate materials like some cottons and silks and satins, etc. So more presser foot pressure when you're looking at heavy sewing, lighter presser foot pressure when you're looking at lighter sewing like silks and satins, etc. So when I did some of these sew-offs off camera, like these 2 layers of saddle grade leather, I had that puppy cranked down quite a way. So I had a lot of presser foot pressure, and we got some really, really nice feed and some beautiful stitching. Same thing on the protected full grain leather. That was saddle grade leather. Same thing on the Italian leather. With the cotton, I could have lightened it up a little bit. I didn't. And then the same thing when you get to the canvas, commercial canvas like this, you also want to have adequate presser foot pressure, and denim, of course, as well. So yeah, heavy presser foot pressure, heavy sew off, light presser foot pressure, lighter sew off. Also a nice little access point here for basic lubrication. You just kind of loosen this screw and then this will rotate. I think I've got it tightened down pretty good right now. I do. Let me set the camera down real quick. So if I just give this a light little turn, lefty-loosey, this will open up, and then there's some lubrication points inside of here. I always say with the machine unthreaded, when you turn the balance wheel, anything that you see move up and down, side to side, or pivot and pitch in any way, put 1 to 2 drops of oil on those pivot points. That's a real simple rule, so you know that you have the machine well lubricated. And that's really the best way to keep a machine running well, is to keep it well lubricated. So I'm just going to tighten that back down again. That way we don't get any dinging sound, you know, from the metal vibrating when I'm hand turning this. Also a beautiful badge mark too, isn't it? The Montgomery Ward, the MW right there. So while we're focused for a moment on the Montgomery Ward branding mark right here, let me give you a little bit of a history on this company. Montgomery Ward first of all, let me say something. And my good friend Dusty from I almost said Colorado, because he and Dawn, his partner, lived in Colorado forever. And Dusty is the one that I interviewed. You'll see his interview on this channel underneath the playlist of VIP interviews. He's the one that has done leather work for some big celebrities like Alice Cooper. He did leather work for Johnny Depp for the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I believe they actually showed some of his leather work in the movie. But he's a big deal with the celebrities when it comes to leather work. He and his partner now are living in the high desert of California. And when I posted some of this stuff on Facebook, he said, Scott, did Montgomery Ward, did they make their own sewing machines? Did they have like a manufacturing plant? The answer is no, they did not. Again, like I hinted at, they used the National Sewing Machine Company primarily to make all of their machines. Sears and Roebuck and other companies did the same thing. But prior to the National Sewing Machine Company coming into the scene to make their machines, prior to that, they had a group called Folly and Williams, that were making their sewing machines, a private group, again, that was making them for Montgomery Ward. So if you're on a trivia contest and someone says, who was the first group to make machines for Montgomery Ward? Remember Folly and Williams. And then later in the probably right around the late 1920s, right around in this time frame, they ended up stepping in and starting to, National Sewing Machine Company started making these machines for Montgomery Ward. Remember, again, Montgomery Ward came on the scene back in 1872. So from 1872 until the late 1900s, mid 1900s, Folly and Williams was making these machines for Montgomery Ward. After that, Folly and Williams bowed out, and the National Sewing Machine Company took over and actually made Beatrice's or Carol's beautiful Montgomery Ward machine. And if it's hard to remember that date, 1872, remember 1872 is the same year that Husqvarna Viking sewing machines first started rolling across the production factory lines in Husqvarna, Sweden. Remember, we talk about the Swedish beauties a lot on this channel, and the first Swedish beauty, the Northern Star, to be made in Sweden by Husqvarna was 1872 as well. So it's kind of an interesting coincidence, isn't it, that Montgomery Ward started making sewing machines with Folly and Williams the same year that the Husqvarna, excuse me, I said it wrong. My friend from Sweden is going to correct me. It's not 3 syllables, 2 syllables. It's the same year Husqvarna, I guess that still is 3 syllables, isn't it? Husqvarna. It's 3 syllables, not 4 syllables. This is not an English class, and I'm not doing well in any case. But yeah, Husqvarna started making sewing machines the very same year as Montgomery Ward, 1872. And then Husqvarna continued to make them and continues to make them through other partners now. But Montgomery Ward kind of stepped out of the picture right around 2001. And it'll be interesting for you to know as well. I'll kind of change this shot a little bit so you don't get dizzy. It'll be interesting for you to know as well that we talk a lot about Sears and Roebuck and their catalog. What an iconic publication it was. All of us pretty much that are in our 50s or older remember the wish list that we would write from the Sears and Roebuck catalog. But Montgomery Ward actually started producing a catalog featuring their sewing machines even before Sears and Roebuck, if you can imagine. It was a 1-page catalog, and it came out right around, what year was it? 1883. So again, they were founded in 1872. In 1883, they produced their first catalog, and then they grew it very rapidly from 1 page in the Chicago market to 240 pages nationwide with over 10,000 items. And then again, that was 1883. Finally, almost 50 plus years later, the Sears catalog comes into the picture around 1890. My point is this: Montgomery Ward doesn't get the credit for really inspiring Sears and other retailers as well to look at the benefits of offering items to their customers that they could order, whether they lived on a farm, whether they lived out in a mountain range, or whether they lived in the city. All they had to do was open up that catalog, place that order, and that item would come right to their doorstep. And Montgomery Ward, again, was the pioneer of that in the late, in the mid to late 1800s, with Sears not coming on the scene until 50 plus years later. Also, another thing people don't know about the Montgomery Wards, we talk about the Singer stores. I've actually shown you videos of those Singer stores that were all over the country, and people would go to those Singer stores back in the day, and they would get their machine there. They would get their classes there. They would get all of their materials that they needed there. Everything that they needed was at that Singer store. Montgomery Ward also had stores very much like that came on the scene right around the early 1900s. They built brick and mortar stores where they were specifically offering their Montgomery Ward sewing machines. In the 1950s, Montgomery Ward started having challenges financially because the craze in the 1950s, and any of you, again, that are in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, remember that probably around the 1950s was when the mall craze started to happen. They started building malls all over the country, and a lot of people that had been shopping through the catalogs now could go into those malls, and they could get lunch, they could get shopping done, and a variety of other things. And so in the 1950s, Montgomery Ward started losing a lot of their customers because of those malls opening up all over the country. I'm sure it had an impact on Sears as well, because they were relying heavily on customers to buy through their catalogs. Finally, in 1985, after struggling, Montgomery Ward finally shut down their catalog. Again, they initiated their catalog right around 1890. And, I'm sorry, that was Sears. I apologize. Sears initiated the catalog in 1890. 1883, so they had a good run. Montgomery Ward ran with their catalog from 1883 until right around 1985. So you can do the math. I'm not a mathematician, but if anyone wants to do the math and tell us how long did Montgomery Ward have their catalog running, again, from 1883 until 1985. So I'll be interested to know. I mean, that's a heck of a run, isn't it? And then around the 2000s, 2001, Montgomery Ward was bought out by Swiss Colony. And I don't know much about Swiss Colony. Again, if any of you want to be my teacher's assistant and my co-teacher and look up something on the Swiss Colony group that bought Montgomery Ward right around the 2001 timeframe, that would be super cool if you want to share that with us. Last but not least, ultimately, what was Montgomery Ward was bought out by a Chinese company. It's kind of a recurring theme, isn't it? A lot of the mainstay American-based type companies eventually were bought out by Chinese companies or Japanese companies post-World War II, and they took over the production for those machines. The one that took over production for the machines that were being made by the National Sewing Machine Company is called Happy Sewing Company. I'm not making that up. Happy Sewing Company that took it over. And as far as I know, they're still making some type of sewing machine today. Happy Sewing Machine Company, which again is a Chinese-based company. So those are my little notes that I took, and I shared those with Carol before the live stream. And she, like me as well, said, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And that's the fun of learning new things. So now you know a lot more about Montgomery Ward than you probably did before the start of this live stream. The other thing you know is that I have the gift of gab because we've been running for an hour already, and I haven't even sewn on this machine yet. What the heck is going on? Oh, man. Carol's over there chuckling off camera like, yeah, Scott, I know you have the gift of gab, pal. I know you got it. You got it. So we should probably do a little bit of sewing on this machine finally, right? I've shown you my master treadling with the main shaft disengaged. Now I'm going to grab my sewing materials, and I've got a number of things that we can try on this machine. You'll kind of see them into the camera shot. I'm going to move the camera to the side a little bit so Carol can also watch. And if you joined us late and you missed Carol, I'll spin the camera around and give you a quick glimpse of owner.
Oh my goodness.
There she is.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
This is Carol. She's a retired nurse, and her mother, Beatrice, had this machine as the go-to machine for decades.
Yes.
In their household. And I don't know if Carol ever sewed on it, but it was used by her mother almost daily to sew everything under the sun. Everything under the sun. So it's great, and it's an honor to have Carol in the workshop today. All right, let me rotate this down. And we'll see this machine through my hand turning do a number of different sew-offs. I'm going to bring this needle up. Get that thread to the back. And if you're curious just to look in this little door, when I got this machine in the workshop, these sliders here would not open at all. And you'll notice in one of those reels that I posted on Facebook, I very carefully, very, very gently used an application of heat and oil, and then I carefully tapped them open, and then I cleaned out these tracks very carefully and re-oiled them. If you don't know it about your treadle machines that have doors like this, these sliding doors, you need to keep these tracks right here on either side very, very clean, because the clearance tolerance for this plate and this track is thinner than a piece of paper. So they are very, very snug. And if there's anything crud or varnishing or rust or anything else that gets into that track, these doors are going to be really, really difficult to open. Carol, just gently take that with your finger. Tell me how easy it is to open.
Oh my gosh. That worked hard for a long time. I'm guilty of sewing machine abuse, apparently.
Carol's so cute. If you didn't hear her say it, she said she's guilty of sewing machine abuse. I don't think so. No, but yeah, these are another maintenance area that has to be maintained. Also, you see this little hole right here?
Mm-hmm.
This little hole right here is actually a lubrication point. And most people that own treadle machines don't know that. About every 6 to 8 hours of sewing, depending on where you're storing your machine, if it's in a real dry environment, maybe if you're out in Arizona or California and the air is really dry, you might want to lubricate it even more often. Put 2 to 3 drops of oil in this little well right here, and then it goes into critical components underneath here that you can't even see to keep those nicely lubricated and running well. And there certainly are other lubrications on the machine as well, across the top of the arm. Anywhere you see a hole, you can put just a little drop of oil in there as well. You can take the faceplate off. You can oil in there as well. And certainly there's oiling points also adjacent to the balance wheel. And even here, where this balance wheel can turn freely, you've got to keep that lubricated in between those two so that it doesn't grab that main shaft and start to move the needle as you're trying to wind a bobbin. And I can cover all this in more detail with Carol. Plus, we live in the same town, and she knows where I live. So if she has any questions, she'll just come knocking on the door and say, hey, what about this?
And Hank will bark.
And Hank will bark. So, but you can see the vibrating shuttle sitting in that cradle right there. And they're not tricky to put in, even though folks will say they're tricky. I'll rotate this a little bit like this so that it's right adjacent. Get it right over there. I'll get this little door out of the way. And right here, you can see the serial number as well. The serial number for this machine. Unfortunately, Montgomery Ward, as you go to Google, you'll find that they maintain records very poorly. So even though it has a serial number right here, it doesn't help us a whole lot as far as the dating of the machine, to a specific date, I should say. But here's our vibrating shuttle. To get it out, let's say you want to put another spool of thread in there, another long bobbin in there, all you do is go by that little point right there and you tip it up. So I'm just going to push on that little point right there. Hopefully you can see that in the shot. Push on that little point right there. The butt, and it's literally called a butt. The butt of that vibrating shuttle will come up. You grab it with your little fingers and you can take it out straight away. Also, I'll show you one other thing real quick that might be valuable. So we've taken it out now. For threading these, what you do, I'll take it out. Take this, you can see this long bobbin that I'm taking out right now. Take that out, take this out. Also, real quick, I'm going to show you a little maintenance tip. If I can reach it, I hope I can. Maybe. Yes. Show you a quick little maintenance tip to keep these machines happy. So most of you know, I use a proprietary blend, not quite as exclusive as the recipe for Coca-Cola or the Big Mac or something like that. But what I do is I take a mixture of kerosene and sewing machine oil. Kerosene, if you don't know it, was almost the exclusive lubricant used by any machine operator of any sort, including motors. Back in the day, they would use this even on electric motors because it has such a high flash point. You can almost touch a match to kerosene and it doesn't poof or blaze like gasoline would. So I'm just lubricating both ends of this Q-tip swab. And then what I'm going to do with this vibrating shuttle is I'm going to slide it inside and I'm going to swab all the inside space that barbell bobbin is going to be spinning in during the sewing process to make sure that there's nothing in there that's going to hang it up. And I've cleaned this. You guys know me. I've cleaned this probably a bazillion times since this machine has been in the workshop. But watch what happens when I pull this Q-tip swab out, to give you an idea.
Holy cow.
Put my finger in front of that so you can hopefully see it on camera. So that's why I say you should do regular maintenance on your machines, because from the thread on top to the environment that the machine is in, you're going to be constantly pulling dirt. If your machine is set up anywhere near your kitchen and you cook in your kitchen, it's going to pick up oil and grease and other things like that in the air as it's moving around your home and your sewing space. And so you have to constantly be doing maintenance on every part that's critical to the sewing process. I just swabbed it again. And look at the other side of that swab as well. And this is really critical in maintaining a vibrating shuttle machine because of the way that it generates that stitch in that front to back type motion. And then when you're getting ready to thread the long shuttle barbell in there, you want to have the thread. Actually, I'll go back one more step. As we're looking at the barbell bobbin, I would give myself, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the absolute best, I would give myself about a 6 in how I wound this barbell bobbin on Carol's machine. Why would I give myself a 6 out of 10? I'd give myself a 6 out of 10 because the ideal way you want to wind these barbells, and usually the barbell bobbin winder, the bobbin winder, usually the bobbin winder will do a really good job with that pendulum like I showed you, going back and forth. But sometimes you have to guide it a little bit, because the ideal situation with a barbell bobbin is you want the thread level a little bit higher on the outside edges. I did it on this side. I failed to do it on this side. You can see where this side is a little bit more girthy. This side is a little bit more thin. They should both be a little bit higher up on the outside, because what it does in the process of sewing, it drives the movement of the thread and gives it greater fluidity in distributing that thread back and forth across this barbell bobbin. It's a lot easier with a regular bobbin because it's turning in a circle and it's just coming straight off. This one, that thread has to work its way back and forth across this barbell bobbin in the sewing process, and it's made easier by having the outside edges a little bit higher when you wind the barbell bobbin. Now, do people do that across the country like it's a religious ritual? No, they don't. But I'm giving you all a tip on how to do it right, so that if you're winding one of these, you can consciously say, oh yeah, I remember Scott talking about that. The outer edges should be a little bit higher, not dramatically higher, but a little bit higher than the middle of it. They kind of grade in like this, almost like a V, a real subtle V. And then you'll have better fluidity of the thread coming off of that barbell bobbin, because it's just a little bit more of a difficult process than a round bobbin like you might see in a lot of the sewing machines. When we're dropping it in, we're going to have that thread coming around the back like this. See that? It's coming around the back. And all we're going to do is literally drop it into the shuttle, but we're going to drop it into the shuttle so that it's going to be near this track right here, so we can slide that thread down. So I'm going to drop it in. I'm going to bring that thread around, get it into that track. See that track right there? I just came into that little track right there on top. There's a little track right there. We drew it into that track. And then holding the barbell bobbin like this with your finger on the top and your thumb on that point, you kind of draw this down. You have to draw it around that little band as well. Draw it down that little band. Continue to draw it down. We have to kind of draw it down, and then we have to draw it back up. By drawing it all the way down, and then we have to pull it back up, it goes underneath this tension band right here, which is controlled by this screw. See that little screw right there? If we turn that screw clockwise, we have more tension, which means we get a better defined top stitch. If we turn it counterclockwise, we put less pressure on that band, and then that top stitch will not be as defined. But we have to get the thread underneath that band, so we drew it down. And I did hear that text message come in. I'll go check it in just a second. And then we have to draw it all the way back up like this. And then we kind of take our finger off of that barbell bobbin and just pull it to see that the thread doesn't break. If you pull it and the thread breaks, then your tension is too tight on that long bobbin. So it feels really good. And then when we're putting it back in, you're going to put the point in first and then drop the butt in second. And I don't know if you'll be able to see me do it because of the camera angle, but I'm just going to slide it in there and then just drop it in. That's all he did. So the point goes in first, and then you'll notice if I get really close, and I'll let Carol lean in first and look at it. Right there this is called the foot on the bottom of the barbell bobbin. It's this little section right here. That little foot.
Okay, that little flat part.
So that little metal part right there kind of fits into that little groove on the vibrating shuttle, and that's what holds it stable as it's going back and forth in the raceway.
Forgot about that.
I'm going to slide this back into place. And again, don't close it all the way. Just kind of bring it to a point where it's kind of most of the way closed. Let me go ahead and look at that note real quick, the text message. But again, doesn't that kind of blow you away? As particular as I am about keeping machines clean and tidy, look at all that filth that I got off of that vibrating shuttle. And now it's got a nice slick coat of kerosene and oil, and it should spin up even better for us. Okay, quick question maybe. Okay, so we have a question coming in from my friend and fellow leader, Christine from Canada, and she writes, and I'll actually let Carol read the question.
Sheila is asking, in the channel of red kerosene can be used on sewing machines?
Okay, so if Carol has such a soft voice, really, that you may not, I think you could hear her because the microphone is really good, but I'll read it again. She said, Sheila, and again, this question was sent to me from Christine in Canada. Sheila is asking, in the channel of red kerosene can be used on sewing machine. I think I know what she's asking. The answer is the type of kerosene you can use on sewing machines is K1. There's two types of kerosene. There's K1 and there's K2 kerosene. K1 is the kerosene you want to use, and it's not difficult to find. It's the same type of kerosene that you would get from Coleman for Coleman stoves. But it's not the white kerosene that you'll find in some places offered that you can run in different types of motors and stuff. K1 kerosene is what you'll want to get. You can buy it, any of the Coleman type kerosene blue bottles, you've seen them. That has K1 kerosene. And depending on the sewing machine that you're applying it to, you'll want to go with generally a 50-50 mix, or you can go with a higher mix, say, and when I'm saying 50-50, I'm talking about 50% kerosene, 50% sewing machine oil. But if you're working with some machines that are like light industrial, or maybe some of the Japanese clone machines that were remember the metal for Japanese clone machines, where the metal was harvested from the oceans around Japan after World War II, because metal was so hard to get your mitts on. And the problem with that is with that metal being soaked in the ocean, which is salt rich, it has a great tendency to rust. So when you get to some types of sewing machines, especially the ones that were made out of Japan post-World War II, instead of going with a 50-50 mix of K1 kerosene and sewing machine oil, you'd probably want to go with an 80-20 mix, 80% kerosene, 20% sewing machine oil. Why would you do that? Because kerosene, unlike sewing machine oil, has natural rust inhibitors. Kerosene, if you put kerosene on something that's rusty, it stops the rusting immediately. It just halts it, and it starts to break that rust down. So if you use a higher concentration of kerosene inside of those machines that might have rust issues or might have more demands, light industrial machines, etc., it's going to protect that machine better. And if there's rust in that machine already, it's going to halt the rusting, and it's going to break that rust down. So if it's binding any of the parts or slowing that machine down in any way, it's going to slowly start to free that machine up so it can experience greatness, like I always talk about. So that would be the reason for having potentially different types of mixtures when it comes to, whatever you use on your sewing machines. This right here is probably right around a 50-50 type blend, because it's for average and general lubrication. So, but you could have multiple bottles depending on the machines that you have. So,
but if you use just regular sewing machine oil, is that
perfect?
Acceptable?
That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah, there's no rust issues.
Oh, okay.
Rust issues on this machine. The only other benefit of using kerosene over sewing machine oil, apart from its rust inhibiting factors, is kerosene is also a little bit more durable. It's a little bit more lasting than basic sewing machine oil. So if you lubricate something with kerosene or a kerosene mixture, you don't have to lubricate that sewing machine as often. It's going to last much, much longer than just straight sewing machine oil. So don't be afraid to go to the Dollar Tree like I do regularly. Dollar Tree has little bottles. I think I showed them to you once before. They have little bottles like this in their craft section. Little bottles like this in their craft section at the $1.25 tree, right? Because they raised the prices on us. So you can pick up, I think, 2 of these bottles for $1.25. And then what you could do is, using a Sharpie, if you have different types of machines, maybe you have some light industrial machines, or maybe you have some Japanese clone machines or whatever, right on the side of the bottle, you can write down the mixture that you have of kerosene to sewing machine oil. And that way you have a bottle you can grab depending on the sewing machine you're working with to make sure that it receives the maximum benefit of a kerosene sewing machine mixture. Just a thought. You don't have to do it, but It's just a thought. That way you've got a bottle you can just grab depending on the type of machine you're working with. And again, for the folks that have light industrial type machines, like some of my customers, you want to bump up that kerosene level mix right away because it's more lasting. It's going to provide better protection to that sewing machine than straight sewing machine oil. And that way, you don't have breakdown issues. You don't have other factors that can come into play when you're dealing with a machine that runs at real high revolutions or otherwise has lots of demands on it. Maybe some super heavy leather sewing or something like that. It'll protect your machine better than just straight sewing machine oil. All right, so we've been running an hour and 20 minutes. I still haven't sewn with the machine yet. This has to be a new record. But first of all, we have to bring the thread up, right? So I'm going to hold the thread in the back that's coming off the top. I'm going to hold the thread in the back. And then I'm going to slowly rotate the balance wheel towards me so that that needle sweeps down and that long bobbin grabs this thread that is coming off the top of that. Remember, we just got done threading this, but that thread has not been pulled up through the throat plate yet, so we can start sewing. So we're going to pull that thread up now from that shuttle. So I'm just going to sweep this down. And just as easy as that, we got a little loop. We got to pull that loop to the front now and watch this thread that's coming off of our vibrating shuttle. There it goes. 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 Now we can close our door. Make sure that our threads are not tangled. They're nice and even. Draw it between that little groove here on the presser foot and to the rear. Make sure I didn't miss it. Yep. And now, finally, after almost an hour and a half, we're ready to do some sewing. How does that feel? Yeah. But all the stuff I'm sharing with you has value. I think you would agree. We covered a lot of territory. I gave you a lot of tips. I gave you a lot of knowledge that will be a benefit to you and certainly the people that watch this video later. Within 24 hours, we'll probably have 200 people that have watched Carol's machine, and maybe some of those tips will be helpful to them. I hope so. All right, let me move my Q-tips out of the way, and we'll start with something. Let's see. Well, let me give you some choice. Let me give you some choice in the live stream. I've got 2 layers of saddle grade leather, a single layer of saddle grade leather. You don't see this very often, but I've got Italian leather. This stuff tends to really get molty, so I'm going to shake it off to the side so it doesn't get Carol's machine all dirty. But I showed this to Carol and she was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." But we're going to be trying to sew during this live stream 3 layers of this Italian leather. That's way, way, way thicker than a man's belt or a woman's belt or any heavy duty belt. And we'll be doing that by me turning it by hand because, again, I do not boast of any treadle ability whatsoever. So we got 3 layers of Italian leather. We've got protected full grain leather. I kind of cut it in a circle. We got 100% cotton. We've got commercial grade canvas. And we've got good old fashioned genuine elk hide. Genuine elk hide, probably again about 4 to 5 ounces of leather, about as thick as many belts that people would wear. It's almost like sewing through a belt, isn't it? So type in the live chat if you would. Type in the live chat what you would like me to sew first on Carol's machine. And we'll try to get a pecking order and get this these sew-offs done so you can see the stitch quality. Again, we're not going to get quite as big of a stitch on some of the vintage machines that you're used to seeing. We're going to get right around 8 stitches per inch, which is still pretty doggone good. All right, I'm going to look at the live chat and see what you guys are saying. Emma's such a smart aleck. She writes, "I hope Scott's been doing treadle push-ups or something like that for his finger." For his finger. Yeah. Wise guy. Okay, so the leaders are saying Carol should have the choice. So let me turn the camera towards you, and you can pick what material you would like us to sew first. So we've got saddle grade leather, Italian leather, 2 layers of saddle grade leather. We've got cotton, protected full grain leather. We've got canvas, and we have elk hide.
I think the elk hide should go first.
Okay.
And then how about in this order? From here to here.
Left to right?
Left to right.
Okay, so I'm going to put these in order. That'll be next. That'll be next.
This is the only time he's ever asked me to do anything.
I'm putting Carol to work. So the last thing we're going to sew then is 100% cotton. I'm going to set these over by Carol.
Alrighty.
Set these over by Carol. She wants us to do the elk hide first, so I'm going to do the elk hide first.
You got to turn that.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Every job needs somebody who might know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's a good thing that Scott's here.
All right, let's see how we do with this. So the material that Carol picked first is the genuine elk hide. We're going to try to stitch down that. And I will be turning this, as Emma joked, with my finger and or my hand, depending on what we're sewing. So I'm going to lower that presser foot down and begin the process of sewing. This machine does not pull a lot of thread at launch. So you can hold on to these threads, but it's probably not even as important as that more contemporary computerized machine that I'll be sewing on tomorrow at the live stream. And just a reminder, tomorrow I'll be doing another live stream Wednesday morning, and we'll be sewing on the Husqvarna Viking Designer 1 computerized machine. It's got a touch screen. It's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. Okay, so let's give this a go. Make sure my clutch is locked. It is. And we'll begin the process of sewing down this genuine elk hide. And yes, I am. You can't see it, but Carol can attest. I am turning this with my finger. That tells you how easy this machine is able to operate now.
And who would think that this will go through elk hide, animal fur? My God, not the fur, but the hide. My God, Scott, is this awesome or what?
I am turning this with my finger, you guys. I'll kind of change the camera angle a little bit so you can see. Okay, we'll stop right there. Raise that presser foot. And then kind of just rock the balance wheel a little bit. You can pull that thread out more easily.
Good heavens.
Bring that thread back. Go ahead and give this a clip. Carol, just hand me that garbage can, would you? Or actually, I'll hand you the thread. That's even easier.
There you go.
Perfect. So I'm going to show you guys. We just went through this genuine elk hide. This was Carol's first pick. And turned it with my finger.
Wow.
Waiting for that camera to focus. The camera is going to be hopefully not too picklish today.
That is amazing. Just like it wasn't even that thick. It went that easily.
Look at the thickness of that again from the side, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Lock stitch. And again, the lock stitch is always going to be more difficult for the machine because that needle has to sweep through and pull that thread back up through that thick layer of leather. There we go. The camera decides when and if it wants to focus. I don't know what you all are seeing, but that is what I refer to as page 34 stitching. Page 34 means near perfect stitching. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Again, sewing with a substitute needle. This needle is the one that I'm using right here. This is not a leather needle. This is a light industrial needle that Schmitz makes for the big boy machines, the big girl machines. But because of the engineering of these vintage 1920-ish machines, they require this long, long, long needle. And this is the needle that we're sewing with right now to go through genuine elk hide, laying down beautiful stitching, top stitch, and also the lock stitch as well. So I'm gonna give this to the owner so she can examine it more closely and see what her reaction is.
My God, that is fine. Delicate work. I'm just amazed. I see how thick this is. And he just went through it with the finger turn.
So that's yours to keep, Carol. The owner always gets to keep all the sew off. So your next sew off that you gave us, the next sew off, and I've got to check a text message real quick as well. Once I figure out where, oh, there my phone is. You got a lot going on in here, folks. A lot going on.
I didn't know it was going to be this complicated.
How are you doing on time, by the way?
I'm doing
You're
fine.
okay? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. This question is from, this one is also from Christine in Canada. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I don't know if Carol, what Christine from Canada just wrote, she said, could Carol try cranking off a stitch with the machine? I don't know if she's going to be game for that or not.
Scott did all the hard work. I'm going to let him take all the glory for this.
Oh, you know what? We might.
If you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. See if I can move this behind.
I would be afraid to botch it up.
Oh, you can't botch it up.
Oh no.
So Christine is issuing a challenge. Christine from Canada, you know those Canadians. Those doggone Canadians are always issuing challenges. What's up with that? So Carol said she doesn't want to botch it up. I think she would do fine. I think that's a great suggestion. And the next sew off we were going to do is a single layer of a single layer of saddle grade leather. And so I'm going to set the machine up. All that Carol will have to do is either with her finger or with her hand, just turn the balance wheel this way towards you like this.
Okay.
And you just turn it nice and slow.
All right, Christine, I accept the dare.
Carol says, challenge accepted, you Canadian gal, you. Challenge accepted. So I'm going to move to the other seat. And first of all, I'll get this kind of set up for Carol. We'll get that saddle grade leather in place. We'll let her go right down the middle. And when you're done sewing, we just switch again, and I'll pull the material out and get her all set up for you.
Okay.
So make yourself comfortable.
I've got old nurse knees, so I move slow.
Carol said she has old nurse knees. So
I'm just gonna.
Yep. And you don't have to use your finger, dear. You can, nope, you don't have to do anything there. Just keep turning the wheel and just kind of guide the material. Just guide the material and you're doing great. Yep, just keep turning her that direction. And you'll see the feed dogs will pull it. So all you just have to just steer it a little bit.
This is just amazing. My beaten up fingernails too. I'm sorry about that, world.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Just keep turning her that way. You're doing great.
It's been so long since this poor thing has been used. Do you even recognize that it's me here at the wheel here? Gosh, and this is so easy.
A sewing machine never forgets a person that sat down to her, so she remembers you. She remembers you, Carol. You're doing great there. You're doing great. That is a long sew off, though, isn't it?
It is. And I'm not. Like I said, I'm so used to.
You're good. You can stop right there, dear. I'll
Okay.
switch. I'll switch seats with you.
All right.
Great job. Great job.
Woohoo!
That's your workout for the day.
Yes.
That's your workout for the day. All right. So I'm going to raise that presser foot. We'll pull this around. So a great suggestion from Christine from Canada said, let's let the owner crank off. Of course, Carol is almost out of breath. She's like, holy cow, as easy as this thing turns, it's still a workout. It's still a workout. It would be a lot easier if we were treadling the machine, wouldn't it? But I'm not up to that. So this is our saddle grade leather, single layer, beautiful, beautiful job on the part of this 1920's Montgomery Ward machine. Beautiful, beautiful job. Carol did an excellent job, didn't she? There it is from the side.
It wouldn't have been that good without you dealing with it first.
Lock stitch. A little bit harder to see on saddle grade because the nap is so thick, right? A little bit harder to see it, but you can see that lock stitch popping through. I can kind of grab it like that and pull it apart a little bit. Still kind of hard to see, but you can see it from that angle right there. And again, a single layer, not a huge deal after going through that elk hide, but still, it gives you an idea of the potential strength of this machine being able to accomplish that so easily. So saddle grade leather, we're going to give that to Carol as well.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to the next level of saddle grade leather. We're going to go through 2 layers of this saddle grade leather. Again, this is the order of sew-offs that Carol picked. So we're going to follow that track as best as we can. Okay? So 2 layers of saddle grade leather. I'm going to put them back to back so that we can see the stitches a little bit more easily on the underside. But this is what we're going to be going through right there. And saddle grade leather, if you don't know it, is used to make gun holsters. It's used to make different, I think it's equestrian type things for horses. And it's really, really tough leather. All right, let me get that in place. That presser foot down. And now I'm going to be cranking off 2 layers of saddle grade leather. I'll kind of do this so you can see across the machine. And yes, this is my push-up finger, Emma. Emma's from Naples, Florida, a good friend and one of my leadership team members, and she's always giving me a hard time. So yes, I did my finger push-ups getting ready for this day. I did it right there. Yeah.
See, you had practice.
I had practice, doggone it. All right, so here we go. 2 layers of saddle grade leather. I'm going to back up the camera just a little bit more. There we go. All right, let's get this done. See what we can do. And I'll tell you one thing, when that needle is hitting that leather, it's telling me that that leather is there. We're going through a lot of leather right now, a lot of leather.
I just had a sudden thought. I was thinking my mom would see you doing this and going, he's doing what with my machine? Leather?
Yeah, Mom would probably smack my hand and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? So that is some crazy, crazy thick leather that we just went through. 2 layers of saddle grade leather. And you saw me turn it. You saw me literally turn it with my finger. So imagine if we had somebody that was a good treadler like Bill O'Rourke or someone else, they would be able to wrap that off in a matter of seconds using the treadle function of the machine, but they'd want to have a longer piece, wouldn't they? So that they could manage that sew off a little bit more easily. Want to have a longer piece. So this is our 2 layers saddle grade leather. I'm going to show you the top stitch first, and then we'll look at the lock stitch on the bottom. But if you think this is an easy sew off, that's the leather we just went through right there. I don't know if you can see that in the shot or not, hopefully. All right, top stitch first and then lock stitch. This is our top stitch. Kind of hold it like that. See if the camera will focus on it for us. And it is. And Carol, you can actually look at the laptop if you want to get a closer image of it.
Yeah, I am. That is just amazing, Scott.
And again, we're going through a lot of leather. We are not using a leather needle. This is our lock stitch. It's just as spectacular, just as page 34. It's our lock stitch. Turn it like this too.
That is just freaking awesome.
Folks, that is some beautiful stitching. Look at that stitching. Beatrice, I think Beatrice would swat me for sewing leather, and then she would say, oh, look at those beautiful stitches. You know, it'd be like a hug and a swat all at the same time is what she would do. A hug and a swat at the same time. So I'm going to give this to Carol as well so that she can take that with her. And now we've got
3
layers of Italian leather. Look at the thickness of this sew off that we're going to attempt. I am guesstimating, but let's see if my caliper is over there. Yep. I don't have to guesstimate. I can tell you. We're going through about almost 6 millimeters of leather. Almost 6 millimeters of leather. Italian leather. And again, the Carol's the boss. She's the owner, so she gets to pick the order. So we're going to do this next. Again, we're not using a leather needle. We're using that Schmitz needle that I showed you. That is my go-to needle for a solution for this machine, because the original needles are not offered any longer. If you missed that at the beginning, this is the needle. Oh, they all came out because of the magnet. I'll have to put them back in. This is the needle I'm using in this machine right now, because the original was dull and worn, and this was the correct length, and also the scarf and the alignment of the needle was in place. It was in the proper place. All right, see what I can do with this. My finger, just so you know, Emma from Naples, Florida, my finger's not tired yet, okay? I'm just getting warmed up, baby. I'm just getting warmed up. I'm just getting warmed up. Just getting warmed up. Not even breaking a sweat. Maybe a little. Okay. 3 layers Italian leather. 3 layers Italian leather. Oh boy. Oh boy.
You feel that one?
I feel this one. Good gravy. Oh my gosh. Holy mackerel. That is crazy. That is insane. Oh my gosh. What in the heck did I decide to do here? Oh man. Oh wow.
Do a treadle assist.
I am here to pump you up. I'm here to pump you up. I'm here to pump you up. Oh my gosh. And right on the end there, because they slid a little bit, I'm only going through 1 layer right at the very end. When I turned that, it was like, oh, that felt good. That was easy. That was easy. Jiminy crickets. Wow. And again, I was talking about presser foot pressure. This little adjuster right up here. I probably should have cranked that down even further before I just did those 3 layers of Italian leather. But you know what? Hindsight's 2020, right? Hindsight is 2020. So this again is what we just went through, if you can imagine, turning with my finger. I challenge you to find any YouTube channel where somebody sews this much Italian leather, turning that machine with their finger. I don't think you'll find anybody. I don't think you'll find anybody. No. So let's look at the stitching now. Here's our top stitch. Folks, that is a solid page 34 stitch. And look at again as I turn it, what we just went through. Three layers of Italian leather. 3 layers. Here's our lock stitch. Again, the lock stitch is tougher for the machine to complete because that needle has to pass all the way through this leather and then pull that thread back through again. Here's our lock stitch.
They should hire you at the boat factory.
They tried to hire me at Cruiser Yachts. Carol just said, I don't know if you heard her, she said they should hire me at the boat factory. They tried to recruit me to do their repairs on their light industrial machines, but I said, I'm too busy with my customers. Beautiful stitching. Look at that, folks. That is just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous stitching. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
3 layers of Italian leather. Unbelievable. I'll give that to Carol as well. Let her examine it.
Wow. I'll never own any Italian leather, but if I did, I'd bring it to you for repairs, Scott.
Carol said she's never going to own Italian leather. Now I'm going to send a piece home with her so she can play with it.
Thank you.
That's funny.
Oh, geez.
All right. The next sew-off Carol had picked out is this one right here. This is our protected full grain leather. Our protected full grain leather. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to, because I've got to turn this by finger. I'm not going to go quite as extensive as I usually go. I'll make a couple of loops and then I'll leave the rest of the play space open for Carol or whoever she decides to trust in sitting down to the machine so that they can try it out as well. What I'll do is I'll probably just I'll stitch around the outer edge. That'll be good. I'll stitch around the outer edge and then I'll leave all of that play space open for Carol. I'll leave all that play space open for Carol. All right, so I've got my thread in place. The press your foot is down. Now I'm going to try to, let's see here. I'll leave the angle the way it is right now so you can see mainly the material as I'm trying to stitch around this outer edge, guiding this with one hand, turning the balance wheel with the other. Okay? All right, here we go.
Much easier?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like a walk in the park compared to the other one. Trying to stay on the material. I'm trying to do my best.
You're doing good. Not easy sewing in a circle. But I think you've been practicing now.
A little bit. And if you wondered about it as I'm doing this, okay, you showed us the long bobbin, and they're all different lengths, etc. How does this compare to, say, a standard class 66 bobbin that you see on the 201s? You see them on the class 66s. This is going to hold more thread than a class 66 bobbin. It's going to hold comparable thread to a class 15 bobbin. And you know what the class 15 looks like. It's rather wide and it's the same circumference. So the answer as far as how much sewing you can do on a single long bobbin, a lot. You can do a lot of sewing and not run out of thread, which is really, really nice. Oh, and I didn't talk about the setup. I talked about the needle. But I did not talk about the thread. The thread that I'm using today is from Joann's over in Marinette, Wisconsin. And it's called the Americana quilting thread. It looks like this. And it is 100% cotton. 100% cotton thread, which probably is a type of thread back in the 1920s that they would have been using on a machine like this anyway. And that's why I set it up with this particular thread, because it's in all likelihood 100% cotton thread is what they would have been using, at the time. All right, so let's take a look at this and see what we think. Again, this is protected full grain leather, probably about 3 ounces of protected full grain leather. I don't know what you're seeing, but I'm seeing some beautiful, beautiful stitching. I'll get a little bit closer, give you a chance to kind of look at these stitches. My camera's taking a break right now. Hold on a second. There we go. See if that zooms in on it. There we go. Now it's starting to focus in a little bit better. Almost. It was doing great initially, and now it's like, I've worked really hard. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. There we go. I better just keep it at this distance and stop challenging this camera here. Come on, camera. Come on. Oh, you know what I forgot to do, Carol, is I talked about the camera lens being kind of dirty.
Uh-oh.
Let me spray it real quick.
You've been showing a lot of stuff.
All right, take 2. Let's see if it'll focus on it now, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I can't tell with my glasses on. I can't tell if that's in focus or not. It's kind of like out of focus a little bit, I think. It likes that distance right there, doesn't it? So we're going to have to be happy with that distance. So if you're watching this on a real big screen type TV, you'll be able to see these stitches real well. But these are really, really lovely stitches. Really, really lovely stitches. I'm going to push my luck here. All right, now the lock stitch.
Kind of gets lost in there.
It gets lost, doesn't it? But if you're looking right at the material, there it is. There they are. Well, at any rate, those are beautiful lock stitches too. We could catch a little glimpse of them, particularly right here. Right there, you can see them. But the nap on the protected full grain leather is going to cover them up a little bit, isn't it? That's kind of what Carol was saying as well. She said, hey, kind of get lost, but right there, especially they get lost, don't they? Right on the correct angle, you can kind of catch a glimpse of them. See them?
Mm-hmm.
But those are also beautiful, beautiful lock stitches as well, aren't they? Beautiful lock stitches. And again, it's not a light sew off. Look at the side of that. I mean, it's not the Italian leather, okay? It's not the crazy thickness of the Italian leather, but it's still protected full grain leather. And if you didn't know this about protected full grain leather, it's coated with a chemical to protect it from staining and to protect it, to give it greater durability. So when they treat a leather like that, it increases the piercing threshold even higher. So this is equivalent to the thickness of another type of leather, even though it's thinner, even if that other leather was much, much thicker. So beautiful job on this as well. I'll give that to Carol to kind of look at more closely.
Wow. I'll have to get a little bit of this just to make a tote bag, just to prove to somebody that I can do it. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no rush, no rush. Okay, we're down to 2 sew-offs, you guys. We're down to 2 sew-offs. And again, Carol picked the order. So now we have this commercial canvas, and we're going to be going through, what did I decide to do? What craziness do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. 4 layers of commercial vinyl. Canvas, not vinyl. Blah. Canvas. And again, this commercial canvas is going to be even harder to get through than the U.S. Army grade canvas, the green stuff you've seen me sew before. I'll get really close. You can kind of see that from the edge. There it is. So we're going to be doing 4 layers of commercial canvas now. 4 layers of commercial canvas. And again, when I'm getting this set up, I'm just kind of pulling that thread back a little bit. Make sure it doesn't get caught underneath the feed dogs. Lower that presser foot. And then we're ready to go to work. You want me to keep going, or do you want to jump in?
No, I think you're doing fine.
All right, Carol has defaulted to me, so I'm my finger hasn't gotten tired yet. We're still going hard and heavy here. Still going. All right, let me go like that so you can see what we're doing too. There we go. Okay. So this and then 100% cotton, and that's it. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh, this is a lot easier than leather. It's still difficult. Look at the weave on that. It looks like Kevlar, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And just to give you a visual, I'm going to stop right there for a second. To give you a visual, what's happening right now out of view. What's happening out of view right now is this shuttle in there is going back and forth like this very rapidly, passing the scarf of that needle, grabbing that thread like this. And we're not seeing it because it's underneath those plates. But that's what's happening very rapidly. Well, not very rapidly, semi-rapidly, as I'm turning it with my finger. All right, we'll stop right there. And we only have one more sew off after this. We're going to do 100% cotton. And again, if you joined us a little bit late, we're sewing with a Montgomery Ward vibrating shuttle machine from the 1920s, late 1920s, early 1930s. And it is set up with a modified needle and then also 100% Americana quilting thread. Quilting thread is what we're using. All right, so here's our top stitch. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Very nice stitching. Then our lock stitch, and look at what we just sewed through. 4 layers of commercial canvas, commercial canvas. Here's our lock stitch. Come out a little bit for the camera. And the only thing I'm noticing, I'll point this out, is the lock stitch is really quite good when you're talking about 4 layers of commercial canvas. But if we were going to be sewing this all day long, number one, I'd have a very tired finger. Number two, I would want to bump up the upper tension just slightly. You'll notice that our top stitch is going to be a little bit better defined than our lock stitch. The lock stitch is also quite good, but remember, if we need to tighten up the top stitch, if we want to tighten up the top stitch, we're going to back off on the upper tension counterclockwise. If we want to get a better defined lock stitch, we're going to be turning this up, because again, the upper tension is going to pull up. The shuttle down below is going to pull down. So they're in a tug of war going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And remember, again, your adjustment, if you get desperate, if you can't get the results you want by adjusting your upper tension, you can always adjust this little screw on the vibrating shuttle. If you turn it clockwise, it's going to increase the pressure to define that top stitch better. If you turn it counterclockwise, it's going to take away some of the definition of the top stitch and give that to the lock stitch down below. So just remember that tug of war. This is pulling down. This is pulling up. All right, I'm going to give this to Carol as well. Canvas.
I am just amazed. I don't remember my mom mending my dad's coveralls, but she could have.
Yeah, probably. Maybe
Yeah.
denim. Maybe she was sewing
Yeah.
denim or something.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, last sew off. Last sew off. And then what I'll do real quick before we do the final sew off, if it's okay with everybody, before we do the last sew off, I'm going to go to my phone, if I can find it. There it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go to my phone and I'm going to read the Google reviews. I'm going to read the Google reviews real quick and then let all of you vote on which one you think should win these Guggenheim professional tailoring shears. These are 9 inches. They have a lifetime warranty and they are sharper than a razor blade. Really, really sharp. So if, I'll go ahead and pull those reviews up. I'll read them and then we'll do our final sew off. And I'll tell you what, I will save unboxing Alex's box and Candido's box until tomorrow. Tomorrow at the live stream, when I present this contemporary Husqvarna Viking Designer 1, I will do the unboxing of the boxes from Alex, which is Alcos, the screen name, and then also from Candido. I'll do that tomorrow because we're running out of time, and Carol has been very patient through this process. I'll probably have to buy her lunch.
Oh no.
Okay, so let me see if I can find this real quick. Yeah, I agree. I didn't read Christine's last comment. She said Carol would do awesome. When Christine from Canada issued the challenge, hey, why don't we let Carol crank off some stitches? Carol took the challenge and she did a brilliant job. Brilliant job.
But my finger was not as much in tune as yours. I didn't do those push-ups.
You didn't do those push-ups. Exactly. Okay, give me just a moment, y'all. Give me a moment. My phone decides to move at its own pace sometimes. Okay, almost got it. Almost got it. Okay, I'm going to get into the reviews. I'll read these reviews for you. And again, Madeline will not be eligible because she won a set of these shears at one of the last live streams. So I'm going to start with Emma B's. Emma B. And Emma writes, and I'll show you on the screen, and you can pull this up on Google as well. If you type in Google Cow Country Vintage Reviews, you'll be able to read these reviews just as I can that people have posted. So this one is by Emma, and she writes, Scott does an excellent job of restoring not only antique and vintage machines, but also the more modern. He also explains the features and functions of the machine. It's like having a video on how to use your machine. The website is fun, friendly, and welcoming to all. We all learn from each other with no judgment, one big family. And that was Emma's. Now, the next one I'm going to read is Susie from Minnesota. And I'll just show it to you on the screen. That's Susie's from Minnesota. And Susie writes, I've been part of the Cow Country Vintage Sewing family for quite a while now. Scott is dedicated to his craft. Hold on one second. Susie wrote a long one. Let me scroll up a little bit. Scott is dedicated to his craft. He will optimize and repair a vintage machine to better than new status. His attention to detail is the best I have seen. He also shares his knowledge with us during his live streams on YouTube using the Kanai principle, constant and never-ending improvement. He is a true master of his craft and is acknowledged around the world. Scott has repaired machines for folks the world over. I feel honored to be a part of this family. I have learned so much from Scott and the other family members. And that one, again, is a review that Susie from Minnesota submitted. Now, the next one, if my phone will scroll up, I hope. The next one is William. William is a gentleman that I helped over the phone. His review looks like that one right there. And William writes, Scott is probably one of the most knowledgeable, detail-oriented professionals I have seen when it comes to vintage sewing machines. His passion and excitement for them is very obvious when watching his live streams. Being part of the Cow Country family has bolstered my own knowledge as well. So that's William's review. All right, the next review. I'm going to respectfully skip, and I'll tell you why. This is from Sunny. I'll read it, but Sunny, as you know, passed away. She was part of my leadership team. Only recently did she pass away out in Pennsylvania. And I'll read her review to honor her memory, but obviously I'm not going to include her as far as being picked to win the shears because she's got the best shears possible up in heaven now. So that's Sunny's right there. And Sunny wrote, Scott is the consummate expert on vintage sewing machines. If you send your machine to him, he will send it back better than when it was new. Watch his videos. He's amazing. I'm going to move on to the next one. Richard, I'll show you Richard's real quick. And again, what I want you to do, and you can vote for yourself. If one of these reviews I'm reading, you wrote, you can vote for yourself. And then, well, what I'll do is I'll ask the moderators when I get done reading all of these, I'll ask the moderators to tabulate up the count, and then we can award these beautiful lifetime warranted Guggenheim scissors to whoever's in the live stream. And you'll need to reach out to me. The leaders can give you my text number, my cell number, and you can text me your name and address if you're declared the winner. And then I'll mail these off to you. And I will mail them anywhere in the world. I'll mail them anywhere in the world. If you live in Nova Scotia and you win according to the leaders, I'll mail them to you there. If you live in Canada, I'll mail them to you there. If you live in Brazil, I'll mail them there. You'll get them. Don't worry about that. So All right, so here's Richard's. Outstanding service. Scott was the only one to take the time to provide info about my vintage FOF 139 regarding parts. Actually, it appeared that he was the only one that had the knowledge and info. Thanks much, Richard. All right, the next one, Susie Tippett. Susie Tippett's review is right here. And Susie writes, love to watch videos of Cow Country Vintage. I love vintage machines and need some expertise when they need repaired, and love how much Scott makes it, and he's so much fun. So that was Susie Tippett's. Michelle is the next one. I'll go ahead and show you that one real quick. And Michelle writes, Scott is the master of vintage sewing machines. He makes them pretty and gets them running like a fine watch. He goes the extra mile in all he does. So that is Michelle's review if you want to vote for her. The next one is Ginny Folsom. And this is Ginny's right here. And Ginny writes, very good information on the vintage sewing machines. I learned from this, and it is always good to learn new things about old things. That's Ginny's. Then we have Kevin Orr. Kevin Orr is the next one. If you want to vote for Kevin Orr, I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and read this text message in just a moment, Susie. So Kevin Orr, again, remember he works for the government in a security position, protecting us from the bad guys, terrorists and everything. So he works in some sort of a high government position. We appreciate Kevin Orr so much and the good things. And he and others that work for Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, and other places like that, they keep us safe. And sometimes we don't even know the threats that they protected us from. So thank you again to Kevin and others like him. But Kevin writes, very attentive, tries very hard to make the service very beneficial. So that's Kevin Orr's. Laura Finkbeiner. I'm going to just say Laura. Laura's the next one. This is the go-to place for all things vintage sewing machine. And then we have Sheila Kilgore. Sheila Kilgore is the next one. And Sheila Kilgore writes, Cow Country is a wealth of knowledge about sewing machines, especially restoring vintage sewing machines. So if you want to vote for Sheila, that is Sheila's review. Suzanne Coulter. Suzanne is the next one. I'll show you Suzanne's real quick. And it's a longer one, so it's going to be like a page 2. I'll have to click that to make it longer. And Suzanne writes, excuse me. Suzanne writes, totally enjoyed Scott's live stream of Janine's Singer 6212C on May 6th. Very interesting how Brazil, France, and the US were all involved in putting this machine together. She sure sounded sweet, and I would be ecstatic if I received a pair of Guggenheim scissors. I promised to hide them so nobody could use them besides me, and if I hide them well enough, they will be safe from me too. She's got a sense of humor, you guys. She's got a sense of humor. That's Suzanne Coulter. I love that. That's cute. You better put GPS tracking on them, Susan, if you win them. You better put GPS tracking. All right, next one. Next one is from Alex Alcas. Alcas. I'll just show you Alcas there real quick. And again, I'll be unboxing whatever Alex Alcas sent to the workshop tomorrow. So Alcas writes, the knowledge and enthusiasm Scott brings to the vintage sewing machine community is something that I have enjoyed watching on a regular basis. He brings life back to these beautiful machines and gives them a certain personification that each machine deserves in its own right. I hope that Scott's community grows to the millions so that the world knows the hard work, dedication, and passion he puts into each and every machine that stops by on his workbench. Well, here's the good news to Alex and to Alcas, one and the same. If you go to the About part on the YouTube channel and you scroll down, it tells you how many unique visitors the channel has had. We're just shy of 3 million. Just shy of 3 million. So almost 3 million people have gone to the Cow Country YouTube channel and watched videos over the time that it's existed. So the good news for Alex is, in a sense, we're already into the millions as far as our Cow Country family reaching around the globe and touching lives. So anyway, that's Alcas's. If you want to vote for Alcas, just type Alcas in the live chat, and the leaders will tabulate up the votes in the end. The next one is our dear friend Christine from Canada. Christine from Canada. I'll show you her real quick. And yes, members of my leadership team are also eligible to win and to enter contests as well. Of course, if they enter a contest to say win a sewing machine, they are not allowed to vote. They would have to recuse themselves. But in this case, if you want to vote for Christine, where is she? There you go. If you want to vote for Christine from Canada, I'll read hers. Scott is a very talented and knowledgeable man, restores and repairs machines to better than new. Thank you, Scott. And that's Christine's. Then we have one from Mindy Barfield. Mindy Barfield, you might remember, is the one that I just mailed that 66K to, the hand crank. She had been in a live stream when I presented it. And even before I sewed on it, she sent me a text message and she said, it's mine. No one else gets it. So I sold it to her on behalf of Mary, the one that originally brought it to the workshop, and then just shipped it out to Mindy out in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I'll read Mindy's now. I purchased 2 vintage sewing machines through Scott's business, and I can't say enough good things about my experiences. Scott has great personal as well as business ethics, and he has also created an online community where members can chat about their passion for VSMs. And then Mindy also posted a picture with the review of the 66K that I just shipped to her out in Las Vegas, Nevada. Showing it to Carol as well.
Wow. And
rumor has it that Elvis has actually sewed on it already out in Las Vegas, but I have no final confirmation of that. Now I have a review that just recently came in 13 hours ago from Rod, also known as Rodney. I'll show you Rodney real quick. And the good news is, if you don't get picked this time, if I've read your review and the final votes come in and you don't get picked, don't worry. I'll be giving away many, many more pairs of these Gutenheim scissors. Again, the value of each pair of these is $50. So I won't be doing it every day of the week, but I'll be doing it regularly. So let me read Rod's, and if you want to vote for him, you can vote for Rod. Scott was the source for some vintage sewing machine parts I was looking for. He was very professional and pleasant and had exactly what I needed. I'd highly recommend him, Rod Rue. So that's Rod's review if you want to vote for Rod. And I believe that's the last one. Those are all the reviews that I have right now. So make note of what I read, who I read, and if you're in the live stream, would you be so kind as to cast your vote? The moderating leadership team will look at all the votes, and the moderators can vote as well. Let me be very clear about that. The moderators can vote. The the writer of the review can also vote for themselves. That's not a problem. Once we get a final count, if Susie or Emma would send me a text with the declared winner, and you guys kind of fact check each other so we don't make a mistake, double check that we're correct, and give me a text of who the final winner is. And then please ask that winner to send me a text or call me with their information so I can get these Gutenheim scissors off to them. Yeah, that's it, I think. So I'm going to do my final sew off on Carol's machine, and I'll wait to see what we get as far as that final vote. And then we will declare the winner for this second set of Gutenheim professional tailoring scissors that I've given away since I discovered these folks. And they are, by the way, if you were curious, they are advertising on the Cow Country YouTube channel as we speak. So they're probably aware that we're promoting them, and maybe they'll mail us some free ones. Wouldn't that be fun? So, all right, let me look at those text messages real quick and acknowledge those text messages. So I'm going to read Maddie's. Wait, yeah, this is from Madeline from Naples, Florida. I'm going to read Madeline's first. And it says, Candido has his brother and sisters visiting and would like to know if you can do the unboxing while they are there. Okay, to clarify, will your, and this is directed to Candido from New York, will your brother and sisters be visiting tomorrow as well? So I could do it tomorrow. If they're only going to be here today, then I'll sneak in that unboxing real quick and do it now. But if your brothers and sisters are going to be visiting you through tomorrow morning, then I'll do the unboxing tomorrow because we're running kind of long, and I want to be respectful of Carol, being in the workshop and kind of waiting to move on with her day. So can someone notify me if Madeline or Emma or Susie can notify me if Candido's brother and sisters will be visiting through tomorrow? Then we'll unbox it tomorrow. Otherwise, if they're leaving today, I'll do it right now. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, now let me get to the other one. Susie from Minnesota writes, Susie from Minnesota writes, 2 more new members in chat, New Way, and Sarah Wim from King, North Carolina. Also, see question in chat from New Way about the leather. Linda Weston also new in the chat. Susie, do me a big favor, dear. Susie from Minnesota, if you'll do me a big favor, would you text me whatever's in the chat? Because you guys chat a lot. I won't know exactly where to look. I won't know where to search for it. So if you could text me the question that she had regarding leather, New Way about leather, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and try to answer it real quick. Okay. While I'm waiting for that to happen, and also waiting for one of the leaders to text me with the declared winner of the Gutenheim shears based on the reviews that I read, I'll go ahead and do the final sew off on Carol's machine. We're going to be sewing on 100% cotton with a stiffener because the cotton is super thin. It's like a fat quarter, and it'll give a little bit more space for that knot to find its middle point. You know what I mean? So I'm going to wait for the phone to go off, and then we'll deal with that. Let's see, I'll put that right over there. Thank you, Carol. All right, final sew off, 100% cotton, which is molting. Ah, you're melting. All right, 100% cotton, and I'm only going to do. I'll do 2. Let's see, I'll do 1 or 2 stitch lines. Probably do 1. All right, 100% cotton with a stiffener, and I will give you an opportunity to watch me crank off this final sew off using my finger again. And that was a text message, I believe, from Madeline. Let me see if I'm correct. Okay, so Candido's family leaves today. So we're going to do the unboxing real quick. I'll do this final sew off. I'll wait for the leadership team to tabulate the votes on the Cow Country reviews that I read to tell me who the winner is that's going to get those really cool lifetime warranted Guggenheim shears. And then we will unbox the goodies that Candido sent so his family can be present when we do that. Okay? All right. Thank you for letting me know that. All right. So let me do this final sew off. I'll wait for the leadership team to declare the winner and notify me via text. And then we'll open up Candido's box. So again, when you launch, you just kind of push those threads back, raise that presser foot, make sure they're clear of the feed dogs, and then we'll crank off this final sew off of 100% cotton. And after all the sewing we've done, both on camera and off, if you think this needle might be getting a little bit tired, you're probably right. So I'll probably put a brand new needle in for Carol before we load this machine up for her after the live stream. Folks, this is so easy to turn. I feel like I'm kind of lazy. I feel like I'm lazy. I'm lazy. Now, any of you that can treadle really, really well, you could have zipped by me giggling as I'm turning it with my finger. Now, I could have gone faster, but I was trying to pace myself. It's like in a race. You don't want to burn yourself out and then have them run past you. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. Don't do that. Don't let them run past you. Well, during this live stream, I'll show you what we sewed before I show you these stitches. I always like to say I like to do things right. I like to do things right and not do window dressing. So we sewed protected full grain leather. I sewed in a circle, sort of, kind of. My circles always have an interesting look to them, don't they? Beautiful stitches with that protected full grain leather. We sewed commercial canvas. Was it 5 layers, Carol?
4.
4 layers. 4 layers of commercial canvas. 4 layers of commercial canvas. And Bernice, Carol's mom's machine, now Carol's machine, Family Heirloom, went through these 4 layers of commercial canvas like a hiccup. We then went through, and these are not in order, we then went through genuine elk hide as well. Crazy? That's not crazy. The Italian leather was crazy. I'll show you that one next. We went through 3 layers of Italian leather and laid down absolutely drop dead gorgeous stitching. We went through saddle grade leather, a single layer and 2 layers of saddle grade leather as well, and beautiful stitching. And now we just got done sewing 100% cotton. So I'm going to show those to you now, hoping that the camera is nice to me, but you never know. So this is 100% cotton. And yes, I got a little bit of a pucker right there, didn't I? That's because I've got the presser foot pressure up very, very high right now to accommodate the leather. If your presser foot pressure is too high, the feeding of the material sometimes will get a little bit of a pucker or a little bit of a bunching if it's a thinner material like this 100% cotton. So the solution to avoid this is back off that presser foot pressure. That again is up here, and all you would do is turn it counterclockwise several turns. Okay? So again, this is 100% cotton. I'm hoping. We do it like that.
Looks great.
It's still trying to focus on it, that silly thing. Come on, camera. You're not off duty yet. We're almost done. You're not off duty yet. Well, they're beautiful stitches. Let me see. See if I can get the camera to be nice to me here. Just about there. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Now I'm going to spin it around and we're going to look at the lock stitch. This is our lock stitch. Look at it from a distance. And you can see when you're dealing with a wide field of materials, here we have even greater emphasis on the lock stitch, which means if we were going to be sewing 100% cotton all day long, since our lock stitch is much more defined than our top stitch, what we would do is we would go ahead and back off that upper tension a little bit. We would turn this knob right here counterclockwise just a little bit so that that top stitch can be even better defined. But our lock stitch is just absolutely, are you kidding me, drop dead gorgeous. I think that's going to be the best way like that. Yeah, that seems to be the happy distance right there for this. I'm going to have to change the settings on this camera again. I think I've got too wide of a field right now. But beautiful stitching on this 100% cotton as well. I'll give this to Carol to take a look at. And then I'll take a look at those text messages.
There really isn't going to be anything that I cannot do with this.
And that's the thing I like to highlight for owners. Carol said there's really nothing I can't do with this. When you look at a wide field of sew-offs, like I demonstrate in these live streams, it opens up your eyes to the possibilities of what your sewing machine is capable of doing. Your sewing machine already knows what it can do, but we as owners have to discover sometimes what that machine is capable of doing by watching someone else do it. And then we can duplicate that and probably even do better. So, but what a privilege and honor it is to have Carol in the workshop, to have this incredible family heirloom Montgomery Ward from the late 1920s, early 1930s in the workshop and see it restored to greatness again. That's really the big deal. So let me take a look real quick at the live chat. Okay, so New Way, this is from Susie in Minnesota. New Way wants to see close-up cross-section view of the saddle grade leather and the Italian leather. Per New Way, all appear to be third or fourth grade leather, which are not dense and easy to pierce. Okay. This is the Italian leather. And this is the saddle grade leather. I'll just show you the two layers. Two layers of that and three layers of the Italian. Now let me answer, and I don't know New Way from Adam. I don't know who New Way is. I don't know if they are a vintage restorer. I don't know if they're a leather worker. I don't know if they're a competitor. We have all of those that will visit us on the live stream sometimes. So I don't want to imply anything about the remark that New Way has made, other than to say, if New Way would like to contact me, I will send her a sample of the Italian leather and send her a sample of the saddle grade leather and send her a sample of the protected full grain leather which she did not reference. She or he did not reference. And you can then shoot a video that you can share with me. It has to be less than a minute long, that I will post on Facebook, of you sewing the samples that I sent you, turning a similar treadle vibrating shuttle machine by finger as you're going through that leather, and then tell me that it's 3rd or 4th grade leather and that it's easy to get through. And I am challenging you a little bit because it's easy, kind of like watching a football game. It's easy when you're watching a football game to be that chair side quarterback that wants to criticize every play that someone is doing. You want to say, oh, that guy should have run faster, or he should have leaned this way to stay in line, or he should have caught that. I could have caught that. It's easy when you're sitting there watching a live stream to try to analyze and criticize what might be done on camera. That's okay. But I would challenge you to accept my challenge. Contact me after the live stream and then present me with a video of you using a similar machine, turning it with your finger and going through this leather with that degree of ease, generating that quality of stitch. This particular leather was donated to me by Emma from a very fine leather goods store that sells the remnants and the scraps that they can't use to make fine quality clothing and other goods. So the quality of this leather is anything but 3rd, 4th grade, or whatever number you want to attach to it. This leather is used by professionals to make goods that they sell professionally. So I welcome criticism. I welcome challenges, but I also would challenge you back to say, put your money where your mouth is, and I'll mail you some of these samples, and then give me a video that runs less than a minute or less, and I will be glad to post it so that you can show me using a similar vintage machine, treadle style, using a vibrating shuttle, doing the type of stitching that I did on this live stream. Anyone can post still shots. That's easy to do. I show you on a live stream where there's no possibility of editing and going through a field of sew-offs that I think is impressive. So while your judgment and your criticism is always welcome, I think that there's also reason to turn around a little bit and say, that's impressive what I just saw him do, cranking that machine by finger, like this. So that's my answer to New Way, New Way, that had the opinion about the quality of leather I'm using. This is professional leather that was used by a company down in Florida. And because of Emma's generosity, she was able to get me these remnants that I cut then and I use as sew-offs. So if New Way thinks that they have a machine that they can turn by finger to go through this much Italian leather, I want to see the video. Make it run a minute or less, and I'll post it. Okay? If you think you have a machine that you can turn by finger to go through saddle gray leather like this, and I could have done 3 layers, I only did 2, send me the video. You want a sample of the elk hide, you didn't mention that, but if you want a sample of this elk hide, I'll send that to you. And again, you can show me on a treadle machine similar to this, cranking through this elk hide, generating these quality stitches. I'll post it. So consider yourself challenged. You can criticize. Now let's see if you'll take the challenge and send me the videos so that I can post them if you think you can replicate what I just did with this leather. Fair enough? Okay. All right. It looks like the winner, according to Emma, it looks like the winner is Suzanne Coulter. Suzanne Coulter is the winner of those Guggenheim shears. So Suzanne, if you would go ahead and text me your name, address, etc., I will make sure that these Guggenheim scissors get sent off to you before the week's end, and I'll get them sent off. Okay. And again, I don't want to appear harsh. That's not my goal. Let me actually come into the shot here, because you've been seeing my hands a lot today, but that's it. So there we are. So I don't want to appear harsh to New Way. That's not my intent at all. But what my intent is to say, I've been doing this for over 2 decades. Like I said, this channel has had almost 3 million unique visitors. And as the reviews that I read on Google declare, world renowned. I'm respected as far as what I do in promoting vintage sewing machines, and certainly contemporary ones like the one we're going to be looking at tomorrow. This contemporary long arm quilting style machine by Husqvarna Viking, this designer one. But if someone joins the live stream and they want to make an observation, awesome. I love it. And the leaders will support that as well, because they're kind of monitoring the chat. But don't make a remark that would be seen as by anyone as critical or judging the difficulty of something, unless you're willing to turn around and say, I will accept the challenge. So that's all I'm saying is fair play. If you want to say that the leather I'm using is not good enough leather, that's up to you to say that. But I will turn around and issue the challenge to you. Say, pick a similar machine, vibrating shuttle from the 1920s, 1930s. Sew the same material, shoot a video clip of it. Let me see what the stitch quality is. And I'm willing to say, yeah, they duplicated it. They did a great job, or they didn't. Or, like most often happens, they didn't even accept the challenge and never appeared again. That's usually what happens when I challenge somebody after they've made a remark that is kind of critical of what I'm doing. But when you get the notoriety that I have worldwide, you're going to have haters, you're going to have skeptics, you're going to have doubters. And that just comes with the territory. So, New Way, you're challenged. Now it's up to you what you do with that, okay? Congratulations to Susan Coulter on winning those incredible lifetime warranted Guggenheim professional tailoring scissors. And a special thank you to the leaders for monitoring things, making the family feel welcome, especially our new folks that are here. We had a number of new people that came to this live stream today. It's always great to have new people join the family, and we hope that you felt comfortable, hope you felt valued, and that you will come back again and join us for another live stream, which is tomorrow, as I present this contemporary Viking Husqvarna, yeah, I said it right, Viking Husqvarna Designer One that has a touch screen. That'll be kind of fun for you to be able to help me pick stitches, heirloom stitches and everything as we're sewing on that machine tomorrow. And then this Saturday, I'll be doing another live stream with 2 nearly identical machines from a customer. They were in pieces when they came to the workshop with a large Ziploc bag of parts. And over several months, I was able to take that bag of parts, the 2 partially dismantled machines, and make 2 beautiful machines that you're going to see sew on Saturday. And yes, to my good friend New Way, and I'm saying this with a smile that you can see, yes, I will be sewing with my 3rd or 4th grade leather on those days as well. I will be. Yeah. So if you have better leather, send it to the workshop. I love free stuff. You know that. Okay, now before I end the live stream, I got to remember to show Candido's box too. But I'm first of all going to acknowledge Carol and thank her again for coming to this live stream and being so patient for almost 3 hours. Almost 3 hours.
It was great meeting everyone. Keep up the good work. And like I said, if anybody's got any background on this poor old thing, get a hold of Scott and he will
pass it along. Yeah, absolutely.
Have a wonderful day, folks.
All right, so let me open up Candido's box real quick so his family can see that. And then we'll open up Alex's. We'll open up Alex's bag tomorrow. All right, set that right there. And again, Candido is from the great state of New York. Candido is from the great state of New York. And I've intentionally blocked out his address so that people don't start contacting him and saying, hey, Candido, what's up? Well, you can see is from a city, and I don't know New York well, other than like the Bronx or Queens or Brooklyn. But Candido is from Warwick, New York. Warwick, New York. Emma just sent me a text. Don't forget to open Candido's box. That's what I'm doing right now, dear. That's what I'm doing right now. So, all right. Oh, and I should mention as well, and this goes back to cow country, the family growing, the notoriety growing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And also, the bragging rights that I guess we have in growing a channel. We generally gain about another 125 to 300 new subscribers every month from all around the world. But we are quickly approaching our next major milestone of 14,000 subscribers. And we are just on the brink of hitting 3 million viewers for the channel. So we're going to be doing another contest of some sort coming up soon. So keep watch for that. All right, Candido, and to his brother, I think he said, and his sisters, let's see what Candido sent. Better watch myself. I'm gonna end up cutting myself on camera a little bit.
You don't want to cut your finger, your spinning finger.
And some of you know already, or maybe you don't. Some of you know already that Candido also. I'm going to give this to Carol for just a moment to hold, if she would. Yep. Candido also sent me this recently as well. It's a hand-tooled. I'm just going to hold it by Carol, if that's okay. Candido also sent me a beautiful hand-tooled wallet.
Wow.
As well as a gift.
Beautiful.
So, Candido, you're spoiling me way too much, my friend. You're spoiling me too much. Okay, I'm going to see if we can do this now. Kind of put it between Carol and myself. Angle the camera down just a little bit. And there's pool noodles too. I love this. All right, I'm going to set that right there.
I know what to get you for Christmas.
I'm looking at, you can't see it in the shot, you guys. Carol and I are being silly. I'm kind of doing this to her.
Poor man.
All right, let me pull that out. Got this bag right on top. Carol kind of hold it. Okay, so let's see. These are, what did you send me, Candido? What are these? These are like ties, multicolored ties,
bags. And
they look like heat seal type bags. So I'll be curious what the story is behind the heat seal bags. The heat seal bags and the twist ties. Yeah, be curious to see what that is. All right, let me put these back in the bag so I don't drop them. You know what these bags remind me of is many years ago, I was making a kettle corn product, and we would put the kettle corn inside of bags like this, heat seal them, and then put them inside of a windowed craft bag, and we would ship it all over the country to help nonprofits with fundraisers. Very cool bags. Okay, let's see, Cow Country Scott. Set that right there. Oh, okay. And Candido writes, "Hi, Scott. Here are some bags if you wanted to share with your team. Sincerely, Candido and Rachel." Candido and Rachel. So I sometimes will mail goodies off to the leaders to thank them for all the time that they devote free to help with the live streams, to help with the Facebook page like Christine is doing from Canada and Bill is doing. And these bags I can use to put goodies inside of to mail off to the leaders. So thank you for that to Candido and Rachel. Thank you so much. That's perfect. There's an envelope as well. And it looks like there's a message in here. Oh, wait a second. I can't read this yet because I read the first line and it's talking about what's in here. So I've got to open this up and then read the letter. I don't know what you guys think, but I think Carol's a great helper. Look at her. She's helping me balance it here.
Just praying he doesn't cut himself.
Well, if I do cut myself, I've got a nurse right here, so I got a fighting chance.
I'll dial 911.
Okay, let's get this open here. Oh my gosh.
Christmas.
Yeah. Holy cow. Chocolate covered pretzels. Chocolate covered pretzels, you guys. These look like they're hand dipped. They're hand dipped chocolate covered pretzels. I got to send some of these with Carol.
Oh.
Hand dipped chocolate covered pretzels. I'll send some of these to the leaders. I just mailed a package to Christine. I wonder if it got to Canada yet. I don't know if it did. And more chocolate. I don't even know what kind of chocolate. What do you think that is, Carol? Are like cookies or something?
Cookies.
Chocolate covered cookies as well.
Thin mints, maybe.
Thin mints or something along that line. Those look yummy too, don't they?
Oh.
I'm going to share these with Carol. Otherwise, I'm going to eat them all myself, and that won't be good.
Well, you can eat them all. You can eat them all.
Yummy, 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 yummy. And these are some sort of cupcake, aren't they?
Muffins?
Muffins. These are muffins. And they look like they've got nuts and other yummy stuff as part of them. You can see that from the side, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Candido, you're killing me here, buddy. I'm gaining weight just looking at this. I don't know if your family got together and said, we're going to make Scott fat because he looks too thin. But I'm going to share a lot of this with Carol. And some of it the chocolates I might mail out to the people that don't live in Florida or other hot places. Because I tried to mail chocolate to my leaders in Florida, and they had to put it in the freezer because it was liquefied when it got there. Oh my gosh. More chocolate hand-dipped pretzels. Unbelievable. You were so busy. I know that these are not store-bought, and I know that you made these yourself. You and Rachel made these, Candido. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh, I see. This is actually an ice pack. An ice pack so the chocolate wouldn't melt. Maybe that's what I should have done with that chocolate when I sent it to Paula Noel in well, she's in Central Florida, West Palm Beach. And I sent it to Bill down in Kissimmee, Florida. And they both said it was really good chocolate. I dipped something in it because it was melted. See, I'm not as smart as Candido. Candido and Rachel said, we're going to be smarter than Scott, which is not hard. And we're going to put an ice pack in there so the chocolate doesn't melt. Unbelievable. Wow. So thoughtful, so generous. And, between the cookies, the yummy cookies, get Carol in the shot too. So you got the chocolate cookies. Pretzels, hand-dipped chocolate pretzels. Unbelievable. I'm guessing I'm already going to get volunteers that say, we will help you eat this, Scott. We will help you. We're going to help you eat it, man. Don't worry about it.
Quality control is important.
And these really cool muffins as well. that what are the green ones? Are those beans? They're like a bean, aren't they?
Are those pistachios?
Pistachios, maybe. Yeah, pistachios. You can see them right here in the shot. We'll really give that camera a challenge now. Unbelievable generosity.
You're driving them crazy, you know that.
The people are drooling on their phones right now saying, give me some of that, buddy. Give me some of that. Give me some of that. Well, Candido and Rachel and to your brother and your sisters and all the rest of the family, if you had a hand in doing this, if you contributed to creating this wonderful, yummy stuff that's going to require that I walk a lot more to stay thin. Thank you so much for doing that. What a wonderful gift and what a wonderful surprise to get from our dear friends in the great state of New York. So thank you again for doing that. Thank you for letting us know that your family was there. Hopefully you guys have had a wonderful visit together. And thank you for blessing me with these wonderful treats that I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to share some with Carol. And we also have a dear gentleman that is turning 89.
89.
George, old George, as everyone calls him.
Yeah.
Old George is turning 89 years old this Thursday.
Yep.
Just a matter of days. And so I might take some of these goodies over there as well and share some of them with the little group that's there to acknowledge his 89th birthday. I hope that's okay. I'll certainly eat some, but I'm going to share some as well with my friends here in Oconto. And then they're going to be like, man, oh man, those people in New York, they know what they're about in the kitchen, son. Yeah, they do. They know what they're about in the kitchen because they made some really good yummies. So anyway, God bless you guys. I hope you can join me tomorrow to celebrate this very contemporary Husqvarna Viking Designer 1. I'm going to be involving you in the live stream to pick out the stitches we do. They've got children's stitches. They've got heirloom stitches. They've got ornate stitches, decorative stitches, stitches from the moon. Who knows where they're all from? But we're going to be running that machine through the paces tomorrow. That's on the other workbench right now. You caught a glimpse of it earlier in the live stream. We're going to bring this live stream to a close shortly. And thanks again to the leadership team for helping in so many ways. I couldn't do it without you. I'm so grateful for all of you. And thank you as well to our special guest, Carol, for realizing now, Scott has said to me before that his live streams can run kind of long. Now I've experienced it personally.
You have the gift of gab, my friend.
I have the gift of gab. So, and thank you to all the new people again. Thank you to also those that join the live chat and remarks positive, negative, or somewhere in the between. We're glad that you were here. We're glad that you're a part of the Cow Country family. And again, to our friend Wayne New, I think it was, I hope you'll accept my challenge. I'll be happy to mail some of this leather off to you, and you can shoot me a video of going with your vintage machine using your finger, like I did, to go through that leather, whatever grade you want to argue it is. But, you know, again, I think it's wonderful leather. I'm very grateful to Emma for supplying it to me. All right. See you guys tomorrow, I hope. Take care.
Bye-bye.
I always grab my phone and I kind of set a timer to signify the ending of the live stream. So I'll just set it for 60 seconds. And then we'll wrap this up. Takes me a while to find the right screen. I know Carol knows what I'm talking about.
I am phone ignorant.
All right, so we're down to a 60-second timer, and we will bring this to an end. Well, I hope you enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about Montgomery Ward and what they did as far as sewing machines. I think you can see that, sort of. Yeah. I'll set the timer. And like I said, every machine deserves greatness. And I think that this treadle machine from the late 1920s, early 1930s is going to be a fun machine for Carol to explore. All right, take care. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. And thanks to everybody for being a part of the live stream today. And thank you also again to Candido and Rachel and the family for all the yummy, yummy, yummy goodies. What a blessing. What a wonderful surprise. All right, we're down to about 20 seconds. About 20 seconds. God bless you. 20 seconds. Carol, you can do the countdown if you would.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it.
All right, see you guys.